Yo, man, I'll see what's going on. We getting straight into it.
Who are you fighting against?
His name's Conor Benn.
Okay.
He's from the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, Conor's about to get blasted, guys.
140 is the sweet spot. But the smoke, a lot of the smoke is at 147.
I will get to 147. That's not a weight class that I won't get to. I'm not ducking and dodging nobody. So if anybody want to come to the negotiation table, and my door is open.
Been me, you feel me, from the broke days in the alleyways, McLaren on the freeways. I'm still bizz, you feel me? She is too choppy. No more jive. No more jive. $30,000 all Benjamin. And I'm giving it away to one of you. Damn more jive. Listen, if you guys don't know, and I know many of you guys have been a part of the War Room, I was giving away this $30,000 once we reach 400,000 subscribers. But now I want to do something very special. I will be giving away this $30,000 to a lucky subscriber once we reach 375,000 subscribers. Listen, we're already at 370,000. If we get to 375,000 subscribers, I will be giving this away to a lucky subscriber. But here's the catch. We have to reach 375,000 subscribers by May 2nd. Why May 2nd? Because it's a big night. It is 24 hours of boxing only on DAZN.
We in DAZN.
We have Naoya Inoue versus Nakatani. Then we have Walker versus Eggington. And then we have the Mexican Monster, David Benavidez versus Soto Ramirez. 24 hours of boxing. I want to do something real dope that night. So I will be giving away this $30,000 if we reach only 375,000 subscribers by May 2nd. I know the War Room. I know you guys can do that. This is Big Money! Speaking of big money, speaking of which, let's go to Kalshi.
I'm going back to
Kalshi.
Listen, I got to make the show, the pro, no pack, guys. So you tip get in the
Kalshi.
Still going crazy over the 30K. No, let's talk about the main topic. Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn, August, Las Vegas. We're also going to talk about my impromptu interview that came out of nowhere on Instagram Live with Shakur Stevenson. He had to clear things up. And I know a lot of you guys were criticizing Shakur Stevenson and the answers and how I said that I thought he cleared the air, and you guys like, he ain't clear shit up. I'm going to explain. But let's talk about this Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn, August, Las Vegas. Listen, we in the War Room. We already knew. We already knew. You guys saw the video. I said we already knew. But now Ryan Garcia is saying it himself.
Who are you fighting against?
His name's Conor Benn.
Okay.
He's from the UK.
Okay, lit.
Yeah, I boxed all my life, but I've been out of the game.
Yeah, we're gonna eat that up. We're gonna eat that up for sure.
I had a
Yeah, Conor's about to get blasted, guys.
And then Conor Benn, he had this to say on X. Get him, twin. And what did that video say? Well, let me play the video for you right now, what Regis Prograis said about Conor Benn's power.
Bro, one thing I'm gonna say about it, y'all can say what y'all want, but Conor Benn got some fucking power. Matter of fact, Conor Benn is the hardest puncher I ever fought in my whole career. I'm gonna just put out.
I mean, everybody knew Conor Benn had power. That's one of the few skills he truly has.
I like that. Y'all can say what y'all want. Y'all can say what y'all want about Conor Benn, whatever. But Conor Benn got the most power. He could punch his ass off. And last night, we fought with 10-ounce gloves on, and Conor Benn can punch. So, you know, I know we can talk about his skill and stuff like that, but man, you know, all it takes is one, and Conor Benn can punch his ass.
But he didn't say much about Conor Benn's skill, but he did say that he had a lot of power. So let's do a quick breakdown real quick. I'm not going to do much, but what I'm expecting to see in August and what these fighters should expect or be cautious about. Let's first start with Ryan Garcia, with Regis Prograis talking about Conor Benn having a lot of power and not speaking so highly of his skills or saying too much about his skills. Well, you must ask yourself, has Ryan Garcia been beaten by a guy with a lot of power and not too many people raving about his skills?
Ryan Garcia, that last fight against them.
Exactly. Ryan Garcia has to really be cautious about this fight with Conor Benn. He does. Now, he said that mentally he wasn't there, so he has to be mentally ready for Conor Benn. He has to be mentally ready this time. Conor Benn ain't playing no damn games. But the difference is Rolly Romero counterpunched Ryan Garcia. He was waiting on him. Conor Benn goes and gets you. So those are two totally different things. So for Conor Benn to beat Ryan Garcia, he's going to have to be more patient, which leads me to this. Conor Benn's delivery system, the way he enters the room with his jab and his head on the line. See that shit? Yeah, and I know Ryan Garcia is known for his devastating left hook, but Ryan Garcia, his last fight, walked down the yellow brick road and he found himself a right hand.
Weights that I've seen. Oh, nice right from Ryan to start things off. And that's what Ryan Garcia is going to need, that right hand. Down it goes!
So for Conor Benn, he's going to have to be careful on how he approaches Ryan Garcia, because Ryan Garcia is a sniper. He comes in the way he's accustomed to coming in. Ryan Garcia is going to snipe him right off the side of his damn head. Okay, let's talk about Shakur Stevenson.
I will get to 147. That's not a weight class that I won't get to. I'm not ducking and dodging nobody. So if anybody want to come to the negotiation table, and my door is open.
Listen, Shakur Stevenson and what he said to me in the interview on how he saw what he said about him being available and willing to fight Conor Benn at 147, but at a rehydration clause, but not willing to fight Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia at 147. And how he put it reaffirms things to me, and I think it just cleared things up to me. And let me first tell you how I took it and why I saw it as clear, and explain to you what he literally said. Wait. Before we continue with the video, this message was brought to you by Raycon. Look, with Mother's Day just around the corner, this is the perfect time to find that perfect gift that your mother can use every day. Listen, I know my mom. My mom, she listens to my Showbiz Adult podcast every day. And Raycon is just great for my mother to listen to my podcast while being aware of her surroundings. And if your mother is very active and likes to work out, take long walks, or just run errands, the Raycon bone conduction headphones are just perfect for Mother's Day. And not for nothing, they're also great to pick up a pair for yourself. Raycon's bone conduction headphones use off-ear audio. And since I'm very active in the gym, I wanted to see how they fit on my head while I'm doing my. Raycon gives you premium performance without a premium price because they. So this year, Showbiz Raycon, for what he made clear to me, is that Shakur Stevenson is not a welterweight, and he's not looking to campaign at welterweight anytime soon. But he'll fight Conor Benn at welterweight because he thinks Conor Benn's chopped. I'm sorry. I didn't even need to laugh. That's just, I didn't take it no other way. I took it as he is not willing to fight at welterweight or campaign at welterweight, which makes sense. He just took his first fight above lightweight at 140 against Teofimo Lopez, looked great there. But he's not willing to be a welterweight. But he'll fight Conor Benn because he's washed. He's even said that he'll fight Conor Benn at 154. If you can make 147, make 147. You can make 147 against Conor. That means you can make the weight. So if you can make the weight, then why not fight, take their belts, fight Ryan, and fight Devin at their weight?
Because once again, I'm not a 147 pounder. I'm actually a lot smaller than them guys that's fighting at 147 pounds. So I get it. I understand what you're saying.
So, brother, it just sounds like, Conor Benn, whatever, Conor, however you want it. But the stipulation of rehydration clause is him saying Conor Benn, you're really a big deal for fighting Chris Eubank and beating him at middleweight, but he got hit with a rehydration clause. So what's good for you, you should understand being good for me too, since I'm a lightweight.
That's where I'm like, okay, Conor Benn, since you put a rehydration clause on Eubank, because after the fight, y'all was like, oh, Conor Benn was amazing. He looked so good. So I'm like, okay, since he did it to Eubank, I'm like, shit, come on. I'm a smaller guy. I'm smaller for the weight class. Fuck it. Let's go to 147 and fight.
As for Ryan Garcia, he's saying, you called me out, and you called me out at 144, and you said you'll go as low as 140. So let's do it.
One of the things that he said was, I will go to 144 and fight Shakur. I'm like, okay, you will go to 144 and fight me, so then fuck it, let's do 144 then, if that's what you're saying. Then after that shit, he said, I will fight you at 140. I'm like, okay, well, if you want to come down to 140, I'm down with it too. So,
and with Devin Haney, see, that's where the rubber meets the road, because Devin Haney never called him out. But he said, I'll fight Devin Haney. I'll fight him at 144.
No disrespect to Devin, but he fought Jose Ramirez at 144 pounds. We can fight at 144, meet in the middle. That way, he don't have to suck all the way down to my weight class. I don't have to go all the way up to his weight class, and we can make it fair.
And all that does to me is just reaffirms the fact that Shakur Stevenson is saying he's not a welterweight. But Conor, it doesn't matter. I hope that clears things up to you guys. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. And showbiz the adult. Listen, bro, start hitting the subscribe button. I can't wait to give this away.
This past weekend, Deontay Wilder defeated Derek Chisora in a split decision fight. This fight was a slugfest. I don't know if you've seen this fight or not, but there was some wild shit going on in this fight. I'm pardon me, I'm commentator Cam. I've got to get to you and Mace, but this fight was all over the place. Deontay Wilder actually won the fight. It was during the fight. He also was promoting love, saying that he loves Derek before he hits him, everything else. And then after the fight, he says we have to show more love to each other because we are only ones who have each other back, talking about boxers. This is coming from somebody that says he wished he killed somebody in the ring. Now, I know he's probably mature and lost a few fights from then. After the fight, he actually called out Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua said, you don't want that. Mo, what do you think about Deontay's fight this weekend, and what do you think about a potential fight with him against Anthony Joshua?
Anthony will work on.
Well, I enjoyed the fight this weekend. I thought it was like the old school Deontay Wilder. And this was, I hate to say it, but this is after coming off of his breakup. I actually like when niggas breaking up with their girls. You know what I mean? Because they ain't really focused on that.
We'll get to that in a minute too. But yeah.
But I think all of that played a role in you back focused on what made you famous and what got you the girl in the first place, right? And so I thought it was very entertaining when he was in the ring talking to the dude damn near during the whole fight. But I'm telling you right now, he looked like old school, I don't care, Southern country, Alabama, let me just hit you with these crazy ass right hands, like what made him famous. And, then when he was, locking up with the dude in the corner of the ring and then told him I love you before he punched him and damn near knocked him out the ring, it was entertaining. You know what I'm saying? I thought he lost himself after the, the second Tyson Fury fight? I thought like somewhere, some way, somehow he's kind of lost himself. But sometimes you go through personal stuff that helps you gather yourself or helps you focus on what made you famous. And I think that he took that. But I actually think that Joshua, after he got knocked out against Ruiz, sort of went through the same thing. But you remember, Anthony Joshua just lost his best friend in that car wreck. And I think it was like, I don't know if it was in South Africa, but it was something like that.
Yes, it was.
And so I think, I think both of them personally, like, deep personal situations can make you focus on, like you can go back to focusing on your craft because it's what keeps you safe or what keeps you sane. And I just think that it will be made for a mega fight. And I think if you get Turkey Ali in here and you get both dudes to get paid right, I think that you'll have like that mega fight that you probably tried to have 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this fight, When it comes to him fighting Derek, I knew he was gonna beat Derek, so
At that point, I got to know how you qualifying a mega fight to be.
I really didn't watch it. I really was looking forward to him fighting Anthony Joshua or Usyk or one of them. I don't think he could beat at all. But I think when he lost his girlfriend, it put him back in that place where he has nothing to lose. It's something about when people lose everything,
Yeah.
they no longer have any fear of anything because there's nothing to fear. You already lost everything. So then I think that made him hit the reset button. He's fighting like he doesn't have anything to lose, but he's also fighting like he's trying to win back certain things that he had. Maybe that's a future payday against Anthony Joshua. I think this is a phenomenal fight. Upcoming, I think this is the fight that Joshua used to duck, but the mystique of who Wilder is now is gone away. When he was ducking Wilder, it was because Wilder was knocking niggas out with one punch. Now I think after you've seen somebody get beat once, twice, three times, that whole air of invincibility is gone. So I think he'll take the fight. But I still think it'll be a amazing fight. And I still think I'm not sure who wins in this fight.
Yeah, I would assume like mixed or we actually almost missed the fight.
Yeah.
We just tried, oh yeah, he's fighting, and we watched it, but Derek came to fight. It wasn't no one line, it wasn't no motherfucking walk in the park. Them niggas was like Mo said, this was a great heavyweight competition. Rabbit punches, niggas wrestling each other. Yo, that fight was tight. Wow. Like these niggas was wrestling. Yo, bro, I was confused watching this shit for a minute. But I'll tell you one thing, man, that the kid Derek won the fight, and that's why it wasn't even a unanimous decision. It was a split decision. I was thinking the same thing, that Deontay Wilder was going to walk through him. But shout out to Derek. He put up a great fight. Now, let's get to some of the comments Deontay Wilder is going viral for more than the actual fight. Deontay Wilder has been talking about his ex-wife with his first child, I believe, talking about how she impregnated herself with his sperm.
What?
Yeah.
He always accusing somebody of doing something and never taking accountability. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's where we're at. She impregnated herself with his sperm. And not only that, it was an extortion play, but he wanted to keep the baby. He actually said, I used to bust on her stomach and I would keep a towel right there to wipe it off because I'm a gentleman. But this time I busted on her back and she said, no, don't wipe it, and ran in the bathroom. Then 2 weeks later, she was pregnant. What do you think about these comments from Deontay Wilder? And do you think
That's crazy.
Mo, and do you think you can actually get impregnated from secondhand sperm? Pause.
Well, I'll answer the second question first. Scientifically, I don't know. I've heard like once sperm hits the air that it dies. So that's what I've heard, but there's no scientific proof. I'm pretty sure somebody can Google it and figure that out.
I heard that too.
Yeah, I don't know, right? But I will say this, like when I heard it, I was like, it was two things. One, I thought it was funny, but then I thought to myself that social media has really taken, and this wasn't even on social media, he was actually talking to Piers Morgan, but I think social media has triggered something in people to believe that they need to talk about everything all the time to anybody. And obviously, if you say stuff like that, you hurt, like personally with the girl, and this is a way of to get back at her, to try to shame her on national TV, to distance yourself from her, to make her feel shameful and disgusted. So I looked at it like a hurt dude, and then let me go ahead and shame old girl on TV to make her seem like she trash. But that's all it is, man. My man was hurt, but I just thought to myself, I said, I wish he had somebody around him just to say, like, everything doesn't belong on, I don't want to say TV, but everything doesn't belong in the media. Some conversations need to remain private. And no matter how hurt you are, that's still your child's mother. So it's still in some regard, you got to honor her because she's raising your child. And then once you do something like that, man, that's like sort of like a get back to life. Like she'll never get over that. I don't think that woman will ever get over that. And so all the games that a woman can play with you for life, I think that she's going to play with him because in that moment, he embarrassed her on national TV.
Oh, man, this is very interesting because when it comes to this situation, I'm not sure about the question, but I think with him saying this, like you said, he's probably going to raise his child support. You know, people got to think about what they're saying when they're in these positions, because I think that's the only thing that could come out of it. Like, you could become enemies, and it's going to raise your child support. I think every time a guy gets a woman upset, it raises his child support. I don't know if you know about that, Mo, but do you know about that, Killer? Every time you get upset, it's going to raise the child support.
I had a flat fee.
If you don't get it, he's saying he paid it all one time because he got money.
This is what people hate online, right? The conservatives, they hate when they hear the truth. The truth is hidden from people so much that when we come on this show, people try to make us feel shameful for telling them the truth. This is really what's going on in the real world. Some people got a flat fee. Some people are being upcharged every time they say something that their child's mother doesn't like. They don't do something right. He's going back to court to raise his child support. And they got to do something about this. This is a California case again. He moved to California, think he's starting over. And I'm not sure. I'm just saying what it feels like. It feels like a California case. Let me say that.
From Alabama. I don't know where the baby was born at, but it's from Alabama. Yeah,
but it's probably in California.
Maybe. I have to check that out. Do some research on that. I didn't check where it was at, but
yeah. But what about the part with him beating the guy and telling him he love him? That's like an old school black people thing. Tell you they love you while they beating you.
Well, it was a part where the guy looked like he said he seen the guy vein coming out his head. Pause, and
he told him he loved him.
Yeah, but he didn't knock him out. Homeboy still was fighting and everything else. But after the fight, see, this is the thing that I seen Floyd Mayweather Sr. say before, when I believe he was training Ricky Hatton, if I'm not mistaken, that some fighters lose toughness once they get the money, and then they live comfortably, and they don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to go jogging anymore. It's hard to wake you up when you're in a mansion to go jog.
Sheets. Who said that? Was that Marvin Hagler?
Marvin Hagler said that too. Yeah, but I remember Floyd Mayweather Sr. saying that, I believe, if I'm not, I might have been Ricky Hatton, I remember talking about it. But as you get older, you know, mindset changes a little bit. But you got to realize you're still in the hurt business. I seen Mike Tyson kiss Lennox Lewis after he knocked him out, after Lennox Lewis knocked him out. And
like, I had to do my job.
Yeah, well, Lennox Lewis knocked Mike Tyson out.
Yeah.
That's when he said spinal. Remember, they said, Mike said, I broke my back. He said, Mike, you broke your back? He said, how? He said, what part? He said, spinal. Shout out to Mike. I'll be seeing Mike on the flights. I ain't got time. Shout out to Mike. But that's a true story as well. But I think people get older, the hunger's gone. It's not everybody who has the same hunger as when they first start, especially when you're making money. And not only once you make money, sometimes you've been humbled as well, right? Deontay Wilder was on I think he had 41 fights with 40 knockouts before he started losing. And then we seen him knocked out 3-4 different times since his undefeated record has happened. And so maybe he's being humbled as well, saying, listen, man, we got to start protecting ourselves. It wasn't, this is when he said he wanted to kill somebody when he was 41-0.
Yeah.
Now, he's about 43. I'm just guessing 44-4.
Yeah.
I love you.
He understands what it's like to be on the other side.
Exactly. So that's what I take from it. As far as the baby mother situation, there's a few things that I took from that. First of all, I'm never getting a rag. I'm never going to get the warm rag, no matter what. What I look like wiping you off. You got me messed up, man. I've never been that type of guy. I just haven't been that type of guy, because he said he kept a warm rag or a towel to wipe off because he's a gentleman. Nah, that just isn't me. Secondly, this case, right? I have a partner. I'm gonna say it because this is my partner's name. His name is Schizo. He's one of my producers. Somebody produced when I was doing music. And he used to tell me this story how the girl, he showed me his baby. This girl he had a baby with moved to Africa. The kid looks exactly like him. Spit an image. He said, yo, I didn't even bust in her. I said, what are you talking about? He said, yo, she took the condom and she had, this is exact words because I used to think it was bugging. She had a turkey baster in her pocketbook. I said, yo, Schizo, cut the, yo. Because you gotta realize if you don't.
Turkey base.
A turkey baster? Yeah,
yeah.
Said she had,
Like he gets snot out of baby's nose.
Yeah. He said she had that in his pocketbook. Now, if you know Schizo out there, y'all know that you just gonna look at the nigga like, yo, come on, man. Come on. When is it gonna stop with you? That's what they both know Schizo, PT, and B. So you know if he's telling you this, you like, yo, come on. They show you a picture of the baby. I said, yo, I don't give a fuck. That's your kid. But you ain't gonna tell me turkey baster. Maybe pre-ejaculate something. But now I hear another case of this.
So we don't know what to believe.
Yeah, because I heard all the years that I heard, what I've heard growing up, and for the little bit of science class that I went to, Mo, is once sperm hits the air, it's supposed to be dead. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So if it's on your back, pause, and you run into the bathroom, it should be dead. I don't know, bro.
That's probably why there was a rapper before that put hot sauce in his condom, so the girl tried to take it out and burnt her.
Yeah, listen, I got one child, man. My pull-out game's immaculate. It's top notch.
Now we're back. Goo, I couldn't wait. We sat down. We were talking for hours. Just jokes. We literally just sat down, dude. And I'm back. I'm happy. You're back. Sugar back. Goo back. We're all back, dude. And you may think I just did, but I didn't. I'm just excited to be here. I missed you. I don't care if it's G-A-Y. I missed you, Goo. I missed you.
I missed you as well, dude. Woo. We're so full of energy. I'm depressed. I hate life. Yuri lost. Sean, it's a sad, sad day.
But in his defense, you know what I mean? Carlos's knee buckled and he didn't want to hurt him. He's a samurai. What kind of samurai wants to win with an advantage like that? So did he really lose, Goo? Did he really?
It's just going to be one of those things. I kind of feel like the fight didn't even happen, really. Like it kind of just, the main event didn't really happen.
I could actually agree. I agree with that in a sense, because it's like, how does that fight play out if Carlos' knee doesn't get, dude? It would have been, God, that would have been a sick fight. It still was with the injury and then the knockout. It was still a sick moment, but that fight needs to happen and play out fully. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying, because you basically said it before I said it.
Now, listen, not to take anything away from Carlos Ulberg, the guy snapped his leg in half and got back up and slept Yuri Praska, but I just wish Yuri Praska wasn't so massive.
His hand was down by his hip, and he just ate a left hook, man.
He's an odd fellow. He likes causing his fans around the world lots of pain and suffering. I even took the Christmas tree down.
Oh shit, you did.
It's honestly,
I've
lost hope. Yeah, because of Yuri's loss. I woke up this morning, I was looking out my window, I had my hands behind my back, and I was just breathing in the cold UK air. And I came into this room, I saw the Christmas tree, and I threw it, Sean.
Did you just punt it? How old's Carlos? Let's get a gander at that. 35 years old, wins the UFC light heavyweight championship. First title fight, and he gets the job done. Very impressive. Huge win. I bet Izzy was going crazy. I haven't seen Izzy's reaction, but I bet Izzy's reaction was massive. Fire.
Something tells me he won't be going crazy.
Did they have beef?
I don't think I'm breaking any news here, but I think there's some is there weird beef between Israel Adesanya and Carlos Ulberg?
I mean, there is. That would be news to me, but to be honest, dude, I haven't been on social in over a goddamn year, so there's shit that I miss. And if there was something that happened, then I just know I saw Eugene there, and I know there was city kickboxing. Some people call it kitty sit boxing, but I usually say city kickboxing. But so I mean, maybe he wasn't going fire. Maybe he wasn't excited. I mean, I'm sure he always does a fight reaction video. So we'll. I mean,
I guess we'll find out if he did or not.
Or if he didn't do a fight reaction video, then that kind of is. there's almost a reaction there.
That's the indication. I don't know. There was some rumors that him and Allberg had some beef, and he didn't do any mentioning of Allberg in the build-up to his big title fight. So I don't know. We're just chatting rumors and gossip here on the O'Malley Guru Show.
We love rumors and gossip here. Well, let's make some shit up here later on the pod. Just pretend it's real. But who's next for Carlos Ulberg? You're looking at him. Paulo Costa. Is he not next? Putting on a beautiful performance over a 16-0 undefeated,
Yeah, but how long is it going to take Carlos Ulberg to heal it? That's a good matchup, but when will we get that?
Dangerous opponent. That dude was hurt and still dangerous. Is he next?
Paulo Costa might have to be next, but listen, what's next for Carlos Ulberg? Probably 10 months out of the game, Sean.
It's a goddamn good point. I forget about that. I forget that these fighters
completely destroyed his ACL, and he's 35 years old, and now he's going to be out for a year, and it's just a perfect outcome from the main event.
Show. That is a goddamn shit show.
Yeah, it really is.
Being 35, it just changes things. It's like, God, he looked good, but I mean, it was hard to say if we didn't get to see the fight play out, so it's hard to. I mean, he landed a beautiful left hook,
Listen, it was great. I know I'm still recovering over seeing Yuri go down like that, but it's absolutely amazing from Carlos Ulberg. I'm sure he's over the moon. Listen, you get your title fight, you think, oh my God, it's all gone wrong. My leg has destroyed itself. And then but he must feel like he's the chosen one right now, really, Sean. I know when you knocked out Aljo, you must have been feeling like you were the man, strutting about town. I mean, you're still sitting in a throne right now here on the pod, but for Ulberg must feel like he was chosen to win this with the way it went down.
It was so impressive for him to stay composed. You've seen that knee buckling, and you've seen him just dealing with this adversity. He wasn't looking for like a way out. He was hands up, still staying sharp, and just knew that Yuri blitzes in with his chin up. I mean, if you hit hard, you have someone that is gonna do that. It's like you have a puncher's chance there. Yuri did look like he stopped kicking the leg a little bit, but then he'd throw one, so it's hard to say. When you're a samurai like that and you want to kill, but then you see your opponent wounded like that from something maybe you didn't necessarily cause, maybe that samurai warrior kill mindset turned off, and he just got, I don't know, it's hard to say because he did blitz in. I mean, he would have, if he could have knocked Carlos out, he probably would have. But that fight, wow. Anyway, let's get back to Paulo.
Yeah, Yuri. Yeah, we can get into Paulo. Paulo looked sensational, dude. Paulo looked amazing. This was one of the few fights I got correct on the card, and he had a masterclass.
Damn, you picked Paulo over Azamat?
Yeah, I said he was going to beat him in the third round by TKO with kicks.
Holy
That's what I said. So this is one of the rare ones I got correct on the card.
That's
Paulo looks great. Paulo looks really good, Mirzakhanov undefeated, top contender at light heavyweight. People are saying if he wins another one at light heavyweight, he's going to get a title shot. Probably would be next in line if he would have beaten Paulo Costa. So I guess Costa took his shit. And Costa looked sick. What did you think about the performance of Paulo Costa?
Those body kicks, and it was a beautiful performance. He's usually kind of the guy going forward, but he was bouncing around on the outside, throwing his body kicks, dipping and moving. And I'm sure every time he got pushed up against the fence, Azamat would release like a 2-3 piece combo. He's throwing to the body nicely, and I'm sure Paulo was like, okay, I don't want to get hit with one of those. Did a good job moving around the outside, setting up that head kick came from the 426 body kicks he landed before that. Beautiful performance, moving up. Is that his first fight at light heavyweight?
Second one, because the first one, if you remember the Marvin and Vettori fight, he showed up 20 pounds overweight and said that's a you problem to Marvin Vettori at light heavyweight. That was the big conundrum there.
That happened
from Paulo Costa.
Dude, that looks like his weight class though. God damn it, he looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. This was his first time planned for light heavyweight, right? Where he actually looked like he was prepared for this one. But that's lighter man's skill, Sean. That's the current trend in the UFC. These lighter guys that are a bit big for their division, moving up, taking all of that fundamental skill with them, and just putting on some great performances. We've got Pereira moving up to heavyweight soon. I'm sure we'll get into that later, maybe.
Oh, we will.
I don't know if we've already spoken about it, but yeah, Paulo Costa looked great, dude. The body kicks, and listen, he was saying the whole build-up.
Paulo Costa's always had powerful kicks.
This fat guy, fat Russian guy. That's what he was saying about Azamat the entire build-up. And it is true. Like, Azamat is like a chubby old man at light heavyweight. And I think that's where Paulo's confidence came from to even take the match up in the first place, because he had no fear. He was just blasting body kicks like a fucking madman.
Yeah.
And then boom.
No, it was beautiful. That Azamat, I'd never heard of him, never watched him. First time I seen him was on one of the. I didn't even watch that many, count embedded. I watched one episode of Embedded and I seen him hitting mids and moving around. I was like, oh, this motherfucker's legit. You can just tell by the way he was, the shit he was throwing, just basic stuff, but moving around, boom, 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 hitting some good stuff. And that was a impressive performance, Paulo Costa. You see how we're going in order this time? We're starting with the shit that people want to hear.
Oh, this is
you live and you learn.
We're getting better and better every show, Sean.
I took notes. I grabbed the notes. I said, Goo is fucking absolutely right. You can't bounce around like a goddamn ADHD fucking crackhead baby. So we're going in order. And next is Josh Hokett, who I had no fucking idea who he was until probably 2 or 3 days ago. I'm looking on YouTube, kind of looking for some UFC stuff, and I see this guy with a fucking American headband, and I'm seeing him, stuff him. He's going crazy at the press conference. I was like, what the fuck? This guy's. I was like entertained, but almost kind of secondhand embarrassment. I was like, it's kind of good, but it's also not. But it's like, all right, who the fuck is he? He's 30 pounds under, less than Curtis Blades, who Curtis Blades is legit experience, legit skill set, a legit heavyweight. And this Josh Hokett, let's see what he's about. I had no idea. Josh Hokett
now you do.
Is fighting on the fucking White House card now. Jesus Christ.
Just like that.
Speaking of ADHD crackhead babies, Josh Hokett is a nutcase out there, dude.
Bro,
Middle finger in Curtis Blades' face, teeing off with combinations. I actually think, Sean, I'm going to make a crazy statement here on the show. I think this was top 3 at least greatest fights of all time. Absolutely insane fight. I know recency bias exists, but I've never seen a fight where they've got after it and stayed after it as much as they did in this one. They just non-stop threw punches at each other.
No, it was Josh came out with a lot of energy in the first few minutes. And in the heavyweight division, you come out with that kind of energy, someone either goes to sleep or the fight is boring for the next 13 minutes. This fight entertained for 15 minutes straight. Josh barely could stand on his legs at the end of the first round, walking forward, giving him the middle finger, boom, eating punches. Curtis Blades just has a goddamn chin on him. That lisp must just help him absorb punches.
Okay, somehow he intercepts the power of the punches with his lisp abilities, apparently. Yeah, that's actually scientifically proven.
Yes.
We're only talking about the scientific stuff here on the channel here. But Josh Hokett, man, he looked great. I was actually surprised that he didn't get knocked out here because Blades has 30 pounds on him.
Yeah.
There was many things I was surprised by. His chin to eat those shots when Blades was like catching him with a 1-1-2.
Yep.
Because he wasn't like in stance prepared to take it. He was kind of like wobbling around all over the place, just getting his head pinged back. And then Blades, I was surprised by Blades' conditioning.
Yes.
Because he's 265 pounds and he kept a crazy pace.
It was literally survival. Like those guys were both redlining their heart rate. That was pure heart from both those guys. Yes, they both came in pretty good shape, but there's nothing that prepares you for that. That Hokett throws he was doing like a slip 2-1-2, like throwing some real good, legitimate boxing combos. And they were landing dink, dink, dink on Curtis. And then a couple times, Curtis, easy double legs. I mean, Hokett was literally, like you said, kind of just like walking forward. And he got dumped on his back a couple times, ended up working up. Pure gut and heart performance. Do you know who got bonuses? I'm hoping he did. They had got fight of the night. Had to.
Yeah, they both got fight of the night.
Good.
I think Blades, I think I've seen this on Twitter. He got his win bonus as well. And not, he definitely should have. And then Hokett got performance of the night bonus as well as the.
No,
as the
he got 200 racks extra.
Yeah, 200K extra.
Holy shit, bro.
And that's really big for him because this was his 3rd UFC fight, so he's probably making about 50K to fight Blades. So that's big pay for him.
I bet he was making, 3rd UFC fight if he's on a contract, 10-10, 12-12, 14. He probably made less than, he probably made 30K for that fight.
Yeah.
And then gets the extra 200. Let's go. That's fucking sweet. Good for him. And he's on the fucking White House card. Donald Trump says, Dana, where's Derek Lewis? I got nothing.
We got to bring Josh Hokett under the card. We did him here.
You're good. That's good. He said, what? I think he asked about Derek Lewis, right? He says, Derek Lewis on the card. Yeah. God, that's going to be.
He loves Derek Lewis.
That could be I don't know. Josh is going to come forward. And if Derek lands anything,
Derek Lewis he could knock
Josh out. I think,
especially after a war like that as well.
Good point. I mean, we only got 9 weeks left until the fight, so it's like Josh. God, I mean, but you can't turn that down. You can't say no. I'm not gonna be ready. You get ready, or you get as ready as fucking possible. You're fighting on the goddamn White House card, which is $1 million bonus crypto on the line. Some life-changing money for some folks.
Crazy stuff. Yeah. Apparently, they asked Josh Hockett backstage. They had like the ambulance ready to take him to hospital, and they asked him just before they sent him to hospital, like, "Do you want to fight Derek Lewis on the White House?" And he just went, "Yeah, sure. God. I'll take it." So, dude, he's just on a momentum right now. A year ago, no one knew this guy.
A year ago, fucking 3 days ago, I didn't know. I mean, did you know Josh Hockett before this fight week?
Yeah, he's been doing cringy shit in the build-up of fights. But this was the first time it was on main card of a pay-per-view. You know, he fought some heavyweight chubsters outside the rankings, but this was his first big reveal to the audience of MMA. But yeah, like he wasn't even in the UFC like a year ago, I don't think. So he's just been...
Yeah, I wonder if more people are going to kind of take this. It takes nuts. It takes balls to go out there and be like, all right, I'm going to act a fucking fool. What was most impressive, other than the performance, was him memorizing his post-fight speech on the mic. I was like, God damn, how do you fucking remember that? That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, you had the one where you were saying, Dominic Cruz is ducking me, far Brown, wait. Like, you had one of them where you remembered it a little bit.
No, I remember the whole thing.
He has a whole poem written out.
Yeah, that was impressive. I can't tell if he's behind or if he's like super smart.
I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah,
you know, he's just so special that he's a genius.
That is true.
Maybe the way, like a Rain Man type of situation.
Yeah. Speaking of performance bonuses, incredible fights. Let's move on down the list. We got Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. 17 punches thrown by both guys in 15 minutes. Goddamn, absolute barn burner. What was your thoughts on that sick fight?
Honestly, nearly knocked my beanie off watching it live, Sean. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, I believe
I was out there bobbing and weaving. I just couldn't. I was flinching watching that fight live. It was insane, dude. I don't know what was going to happen.
You just don't with those big fellas.
Those low kicks between the two of them. Dominic Reyes won, though. You know, good for Dominic Reyes. Yeah.
No, it's tricky when you get certain matchups, dude. It just gets like that. Both guys both fucking knock each other out. Both big motherfuckers, and it just... You know, sometimes fights play out like that, unfortunately, and there's just really not much else to talk about it. Dominic Reyes fought John Jones to a super close fight once, right? Wasn't that Dom Reyes?
Yeah, arguably beat him.
Yeah, that's right.
I was Dominic Reyes, but I wouldn't say beat him.
Knows how hard John trained, if John trained, but it's crazy just to see how people's careers play out. And
yeah.
Speaking of careers playing out, God damn it, I always interrupt you, Go. You're next. Go ahead.
Speaking of careers playing out, though, if we want to get on careers playing out, yeah, it is weird how that is because Dominic Cruz, after fighting John Jones, not Dominic Cruz.
You said, whoa, Gina, you got your shit mixed up, bro.
Slipped up here, guys.
Fucking MMA Schmitty. Jokes.
Blachowicz put him away, and then Yuri broke 3 bones in his face in their fight that they had. So that really derailed Reyes.
That's right.
Yeah. That was a really bad ban. Well, what did you have so much energy to bring up?
Well, I was going to say, speaking of careers playing out, I thought that would segue perfect into Cub Swanson getting the fucking TKO KO over Nate Landwehr on his final fight, his final goodbye, and it goes out perfect. 42 years old, ends it, legendary career, wants to focus on coaching and stuff like that, etc. So beautiful win, beautiful performance. God, I bet it's hard to end it like that because he's coming off 2 finishes, right? He's coming off 2. I don't know if he finished the other guy, Billy, or did he? Or he just won. But he's coming off a couple big wins over, pretty good guys. It's like, God, I bet he's like, do you want to hang it up? It's also like you're 42, you got 3 kids. It's like,
42 years old, you definitely want to hang it up.
I don't know. Yeah, coming off back-to-back KOs.
Yeah, 4-1 in his last 5 or something like that. Like he's not been winning more often than not. But yeah, Cub looks great. Cub looks amazing. I'm actually a really big fan of Cub Swanson, so I was really happy to see him get a nasty win. Like anytime you tune into a Cub Swanson fight over any point of the last fucking 20 years that he's been pro or whatever it is, bangers.
Yeah,
nothing but bangers.
No, you're absolutely right. Crazy boxing, good jiu-jitsu, fucking throws down, is a gangster. Before we move on to the next fight in the prelims, producer Garrett says, "Where's Schmitty?" You know, we gotta
Is he
bring it
supposed to
up.
be here?
We gotta bring it up.
We
I
gotta
mean,
bring it up.
just,
Yeah, just for
let's
views.
let's address the elephant not in the room. Joe.
That's actually
Joe,
a
that was
really good
I
one.
appreciate that.
Joe.
No,
That
he's
was a
at
good
work.
one.
He's fucking grinding away, stacking that goddamn cheddar. So he couldn't make it, but he wanted me to tell you hi. Actually, he didn't say
Well,
that.
what's
I
up,
don't know
dude?
why I
Yeah.
said that.
I mean,
but
you
fuck.
know, you had to make this mention massive.
I
This
know.
was a big deal.
Maybe he's gonna
you know?
fucking start. Would have just been huge. I feel like. What do you think about Aaron Pico?
Aaron Pico looked good. I doubted him here. You know, I thought Pico kind of hasn't, because he's always been expected to beat these big name opponents in his career, but he never has. Like they've always pushed him to this test, and then he's been KO'd. So I just
Did he start off in Bellator?
Just figured like it's happened so many times, it's bound to happen again.
He did get cracked with a jab too there for a second of the first round. I was
Yeah,
like,
he
oh
did.
shit, here we go.
Little worrying, Pitbull had him a couple times in the first round, but then once he realized that Pitbull couldn't hurt him, and once he got a bit more confident, he just started teeing off with combinations, and he looked big and strong out there, dude. Like a
Yeah, he
big,
did.
strong athlete at featherweight. And he was doing pretty good against Lerone Murphy before that fucking Hail Mary.
Bro, he was doing great against Lerone Murphy. Like that fight would have been sweet to watch play out. Aaron Pico, I'm excited to see who he fights next, and he's legit. I think, dude, I would not be surprised if he's world champion at some point next year. He's got the skill set. Hopefully he's got the chin though. That's what people are worried about. He's been knocked out. He's not just been TKO'd. He's been knocked out brutally multiple times, even in Bellator. So it's like, God, hopefully, who knows how that plays with your mind too. He was able to eat some shots against Pitbull, so maybe that gave him some confidence. But overall, that was a fun performance, and his boxing, the way it throws that left hook and that left body shot is just beautiful. The uppercuts. Overall, I was excited about that fight.
Yeah, nasty combinations. I don't know how Pitbull didn't get KO'd with some of the straight right hands that he was landing on him.
Boom.
He was throwing like a 3-2,
Yeah.
lead left hook, straight right hand down the pipe, and he was cracking Pitbull straight on the chin, and Pitbull was just eating it.
Beautiful.
You know?
Kevin
Pitbull
Holland
kind of looked
God
small
damn it,
out
I
there,
did it
didn't you
again.
think?
I did
It's
it again,
okay,
dude.
Sean. It's okay, dude. Just
I'll raise my
you
hand.
don't need a big
I'll raise my
meltdown
hand
every
when I'm
time.
ready. I'll raise my hand. You can fucking anything else with Pitbull or Pico?
Yeah, Pitbull looked a little small out there, dude. I was surprised that he didn't look like a featherweight out there whatsoever. Like he looked
How
like a bit
tall
of
is
a
Pitbull? Let's see.
chubby old man. I feel like he's about 5'6" or something at featherweight, which is
5'8". He's always. I don't think he's ever fought at bantamweight though, right? I think he used to fight at 55. But Pico did make
That's
him look
insane.
small. Pico, like you said, Pico looked fucking big. Pico looked strong. Maybe,
he is 5'6". I just checked Tapology.
Oh yeah, it does say 5'6". It says 5'6"
Yeah,
right
it
there,
does.
5'8" on that one. ESPN says 5'8", but 5'6".
He's playing
ESPN
pranks on you, Sean. It's
ESPN is known to exaggerate people's heights.
hilarious.
I mean, Garrett brought it. They're pranking Garrett. No, 5'6". Yeah, he definitely 5'6" seems a little bit more. He does. Yeah, he did seem a little bit smaller. Which nothing wrong with being 5'6".
Yeah, no problem with that, Cejudo. Don't come at us for anything.
5'6" is goddamn. That's tall for Henry. Anyway, can we move on to Kevin Holland and Randy Brown?
Yeah, we can move on
All
to
right,
Kevin
I
Holland.
appreciate
And
that.
I give you permission.
I appreciate that. Dude, Kevin Holland's just, when he's talking, he's asking where you from, you want to play basketball, and I love that. It's so entertaining, and it's so hilarious that you could hear it. I was talking to the ref, I ain't gonna have no nuts after this fight. Like, bro, that's, for me, I'm trying to picture myself in a fight, talking. Like, it just seems so, I
don't know, it just kind of shows you're not focused.
can't even imagine it, because I feel like I'm so in this different world. Like, I feel like I'm in a completely different fucking universe when I'm in there. I'm in there and I'm just so locked in. Not that he's not locked in. He's in a flow state clearly, but he's like just hanging out, fighting. It's wild to see. And he goes out there and gets the job done against Randy Brown, who's a legit opponent. That was a big win.
Yeah, he looked good. He just destroyed his leg early, right?
Yep. The bumps on that
nasty
shin
calf
was
kicks.
nasty.
And that's been a problem with Randy Brown, and I think that might be the problem with the lanky build in general with the skinny calves, is you ain't got much to defend on that calf kick. And Holland just ran out there and slammed it a couple of times, and that was it. Randy Brown was kind of done after that. He nearly had him in a sub, though.
Dude,
I was
that
surprised
was
that Randy Brown
tight.
survived it.
That was tight. Kevin's finished a good motherfuckers with that, and he just survived and fought it, and that was impressive defense to be able to survive that. We're kind of running. I mean, we got Gamrot versus Esteban. Gamrot, he's always in some fun fights. Gamrot, he's always in some fun fights. He goes out there and beats Esteban. Was there anything else on the early prelims? I didn't even see. Oh,
Charles Radke dropped the slur on Paramount Plus, and
what'd
they
he
didn't
say?
really like him for it. He
The-
said the F word,
Ah,
the fucking F word.
but the other F word or
He
fuck?
said it again. No, the fucking F word, which means I can say the fucking part, but the other one.
Oh, okay. We'll just have code words for it. We'll say Tim.
Yeah,
So
Tim Welch. Yeah,
he
that's
said
a good.
he said
that's a
Tim
good code word
on
to
camera.
describe it,
He
yeah.
said Tim.
Yeah, he said the Tim Welch, the one that
Oh
would
my
describe
gosh.
Tim Welch.
What did he
said it.
say? How did he say it?
He just called people in the crowd it. He's
You
done it
bunch
before.
of Tim
and then-
Welches.
Yeah,
Damn.
and I actually started a movement called #SayItAgain Radke because he
Damn.
said it once years ago. So I started a big movement about it, and he actually turned it into shirts
No
and
way.
merch saying "Say It Again Radke."
And
So
he
he's been
ripped it
waiting.
again.
Yeah, he ripped it again, dude. So
On
we're gonna see if
Paramount.
he keeps going. Put him on the White House card. Let's see him
Bro,
say it again.
fuck it. Damn, Vincent Luque submitted Kelvin?
Yeah, Kelvin.
Sure did.
Fucking tapped out.
With
I
what?
think second round.
Darce choke, the Darce Knight.
Oh,
Vicente Luque
shit.
pulled
Did he
it off.
drop him? Did Kelvin shoot? How'd they get in that?
Yeah,
Like,
he dropped him, and then Kelvin, while attempting to get back up, stuck his head into a Darce choke like a
damn.
clown.
That's a dude. I mean, the co-main event was supposed to be Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. That would have been the whole card. That card was fucking excellent. That was a great card. I
Yeah.
got a little shit from saying in the pod last week. I'm like, this card's, it's decent. It's not really, nothing. But I bit my tongue, and fucking, it was a great goddamn card overall. And yeah, speaking of great cards, Guru, can I say that? We got some fun fights coming up. We're not gonna chat again until after Hamzat, Sean Strickland. So let's just kind of go through these next upcoming fights because they're fun ones. There's some
Should we
fun
just
ones.
rattle through some of these main? Dude, there's some decent ones. Just rattle through some of these main events, and then we'll get to the Strickland Chimaev conversation.
I think so too. So next weekend, welterweight, Gilbert Burns versus Mike Mallet in is that in Canada? I think so.
Yeah, it is in Canada.
And Mike Mallett's their guy, right? That's like the
Yeah,
Canadian
that's-
fella.
That's their leading soldier right there.
Gilbert Burns, he's 39. He's been the man. He's actually, was he champ? No,
he wasn't.
no. But I remember when he beat Tyron Woodley. I was like, holy shit, this
Oh, yeah.
motherfucker is good. And then he lost to Kamar Usman for the belt. But that dude's fought everyone. Remember, he fucking fought Hamzat in a war. He's on a four-fight. Wait, 1, 2, 3. He's on a four-fight
Yeah,
losing
he's
streak.
done.
Bilal, Jack, Sean, Michael Moraes. He's on a 4-fight. This is a big way. This is a big fight. He needs to. He's pretty much fighting for his contract at this point.
Yeah. To be fair, when we first saw him lose to Michael Morales, it was like, oh, Burns is done. He's just losing to anybody now. But since then, Morales is like, okay, Burns lost to Morales. Maybe he's not all the way done.
Yeah.
Mallett's pretty good though, but I'm not sure. It's a very tricky fight to predict because Mallet, I think, is a good, reasonably solid fighter, but I don't think he's like a future champion in the making. He's not stunning in his career so far. Lost to Neil Magny, who's tricky. Who are we waving to there, Sean? Little wave to him
That's
off
my
camera.
my little dude. My boo is bringing me hola, my coffee. Ven pues.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Right, nice. Show Mateo how cute Mateo is real quick. Just turn around. No, on the camera right there. Oh, actually, no, it's right here.
Yeah,
on
it's
this one.
right here.
God damn it, Mateo's cute. Just trust.
I'll just have to take your word for it. I
Yeah,
guess.
no, he's a cute little dude.
yeah,
But
that's cool.
yeah, I think, it would be sweet to see. I like Gilbert Burns. I've talked to him a few times in person. Like I like him. He seems like a good dude, and I would love to see him. Oh, adios. I'd love to see him get the job done over there in Canada. We got Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain. Is Charles Jourdain a Canadian fella as well?
Charles Jourdain is a Canadian fella. He is.
Okay. God, that's gonna be, dude. Did he move up from 25 or down from 45?
No, down from 45. Yeah,
Moved down from 45.
He's new to 135 though.
Is he only 1-0 or 2-0 at 35?
I think he's now 2-0. He beat Davy Grant.
That's right.
With a guillotine,
Yep.
and he beat Victor Henry with a guillotine.
Okay.
I think as well. I think he
Yep, you're
guillotined
right.
both of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Sub. Damn. So this is a big
Yeah.
fight for Kyler. Kyler trains with us. God, he's so fucking skilled. Even to this day, Kyler Phillips is one of the most skilled guys I've ever trained with. And he's so talented, and he's won some big fights. He's lost some close fights. I just know how good he is. So it's always, every time there's a fight coming up, I'm like, Kyler's gonna win. I know how good he is. So if Kyler shows up, but just Charles Jourdain's fucking good too. I wasn't super familiar with him, but that David Grant fight was fun. That made
Jourdain trained in TriStar, which for us hobby in Canada, one of the top camps.
me a fan of him. I was like, God, that was a sick performance. But obviously, I'm going with my boy Kyler. Been training with him for like 10 years, and he's a solid dude. He just had his baby. He's got his little dude, so he's fighting for something more now. Is there any more fun fights on that card?
Well, I'm gonna go with Jourdain. Ooh, betrayal.
Are you? And what you just think he's gonna show up and just finish decision? What do you think?
I'm thinking if he can survive some like dangerous early first round moments with Phillips, who's very good, then maybe he can pull it off as the fight goes on, because Phillips is so explosive and dynamic. That sometimes he slows down just a tad. That's my take.
No, that's a fair take. I mean, Kyler does come out super strong and seems to fade a little bit, but I mean, it's just we'll see. I'm excited for that fight, and that's next weekend, right?
Yeah, it is. That's this weekend, right? Or no, is there a gap?
No, you're right. This weekend.
Yes, this weekend. Wow.
I like that. And then next weekend we got Aljamain Sterling, who I knocked out. Let's just get that out the way.
Yeah, you did. You did knock him out.
Jokes. He just gets, yeah, I'm kidding. I did. Well, I did. But it's There's Yusuf Zalal, who Aljo's 36. I actually have been preaching. I want to see Aljo fight for the title. Aljo, he's considered one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. If he would have beat me, who knows what would have happened? Like where would have went? If he would have moved up to 45, he would have stayed at 35. Who knows what would have happened? I shook the goddamn division.
Change the world.
I did not need another coffee. Cheers. Versus Yusuf. I feel like Aljo's going to go out there. I think I'm going to predict Aljo chokes him. I think Aljo chokes him. I don't even fucking know who Yusuf is.
Huh? Well, expert opinions here on the expert opinions here.
Michael, what do you think? Michael's all been sitting in the corner the whole time. He's not here. No.
You see what I'm saying right there with the right hand?
Yep.
With the right hand and the left hand. So we'll fight him mostly southpaw.
Yep.
Make sure you're looking right here. You see?
Yeah, it's perfect. I got that. I was thinking the same thing.
I'm glad we're both seeing it.
Yep.
I want lots of spins since it's the $1 million bonus.
Yep. Spin
a lot.
Gotcha. Write that one down.
Left.
Put that one in there.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yep. Ooh, I'm about to hit. It's so close.
Good.
All right, fellas, download the app Prize Picks. Use code SUGAR, put $5 and instantly get $50 whether you win or lose. More or less simple as that. Download it and let's get back into this fire podcast.
All right. Aljamain Sterling probably is going to win this fight, to be honest with you. If I had to give like an early... I mean, I might change my mind. Who knows?
Nope.
But Aljo's very good. Aljo's extremely good, and he's a good grappler, and it's in the Apex, small cage.
Oh, it is in the Apex, huh?
Yeah. And Zalal's like a rangy, keep you at distance striker. He's actually developed a decent submission game himself, but not to the level of Aljo, I would assume. So it's going to be hard for him to do his keep at range style in the Apex, I think. So I'll probably be going with Aljo.
Yeah, I think that's a great bet. And then we have a huge co-main event: Norma Demont versus Jocelyn Edwards. Is that really the co-main?
Yeah. Welcome to the UFC in 2026, buddy. We're nothing but the best.
Well, you got Alexander Hernandez versus Rafa Garcia. That'll probably be a pretty sweet fight. David Grant versus Juan Adrian. I'm not familiar with these guys. Montel Jackson versus Hani Barcelos. That'll be a good bantamweight.
Barcelos is good.
Yeah, that'll be a good fight. That's kind of it for that card. And then back to back weekends though. Is you got some pretty fucking fire main events. You got Carlos Prates versus Jack Della Maddalena.
Oh,
give me Jack Della Maddalena.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about that one. That one, someone's getting put away.
Where's that one at? Where's the location of that? Do you know?
That's in Perth, Australia.
So it's in that big old cage, huh?
That's in his hometown.
It's gonna be absolutely fucking incredible.
Yeah, we can break this down in an Aussie accent if we want.
Yeah, we might as well if they're gonna be over there down under.
Yeah, I'm worried that Carlos Prates might get a KO.
Damn, you're thinking it might KO Jack Della, eh?
Yeah, maybe. He's got a solid shot of doing so, but Jack's pretty technical. I'm not sure.
I don't know what accent. You left. You went from fucking Aussie to fucking.
I thought I was doing a decent job of
Trying to
it.
do some smart things.
Benil Dariush
Yeah,
versus
wow.
Killian Sal. What the fuck? Salkilled?
Salkilled. He's missing vowels in his name, but that's okay.
He's missed a couple. He's got a couple, but Benil, 36 years old. The motherfucker's. Oh, I feel like he fights a lot. The bro's always fighting.
Yeah, he's graying from it all, dude.
Oh
It's
my
really
God,
taking
Tai
a toll on him.
Tuivasa on the card. Shut the
He's
fuck
back.
up.
Oh,
Shut the fuck up.
The man himself is back, dude.
Get the fuck.
Y'all see the title, man. We get straight into it. Sorry, I'm testing the audio. Get straight into it.
What's up, my people? This is Showbiz. Look, don't. All right, man. Look. Hey, come on in. Come on in. The water's fine. Hey. Listen. I know I had a short. There's a short going around. Oh, wait a minute. My man, Shakur Stevenson's supposed to get on, but I don't see him. Hold on real quick. They said that he joined, but I don't see shit. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. So listen, this whole thing is really, I gotta see if Shakur is gonna. I requested. I don't see a damn thing, brother. But I don't. Oh, hold on. You get it? I'm old as hell. I don't do Instagram like that. There it is. What up?
Like an old man.
Hey, listen, bro. Listen. How many times have you seen me live on Instagram, bro?
Nah, I ain't never seen you live on Instagram.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But listen, Shakur, I want to first say I totally get you, bro. You don't want to hear nobody get you effed up about anything that's going on right now. And you got some serious haters right now.
Yeah, y'all be kind of like spinning it. It's like y'all be throwing like the fans off. So I just be trying to let y'all know my little piece.
Yeah. So listen, here's the thing, man.
What exactly got spun? What is he referring to specifically?
And I saw it on X, and people were confused with your last few statements, right? On your interview, was that Halawani or something like that? But was you? I think you were on there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna analyze the Ariel Hawani interview too.
Okay. So you said that you'll fight Conor Benn at 147 rehydration clause.
Yo, can I tell you where that came from though? Cause like people kind of misconstrue everything and they don't really understand shit.
Okay, go ahead. Cause we don't all remember when you remember. You like a damn robot, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on my brain real quick. So remember Conor Benn for Chris Eubank, his last outing, right? Or before his last outing. It was with a rehydration clause, right?
Yeah, both of them were.
So that's where I'm like, okay, Conor Benn, since you put a rehydration clause on Eubank, because after the fight, y'all was like, oh, Conor Benn was amazing. He looked so good. Oh, he was, man, nobody could beat Conor Benn. After that fight, that's what y'all was saying.
I was one of them, yeah.
But then he fought with the rehydration clause, so like y'all don't even remember that. Y'all didn't take notes of it. So I'm like, okay, since he did it to Eubank, I'm like, shit. Come on, I'm a smaller guy. I'm smaller for the weight class. Fuck it, let's go to 147 and fight Eubank. But now I just see the video that you posted. You say, oh, well, you said this, but you ain't say Devin and Ryan at
147 for rehydration.
But you don't realize what's going on. So before Ryan last fight, Ryan used my name to sell his fight.
With Mike Hopkins.
When he used my name, he was saying a whole lot of shit. He said, one of the things that he said was, I will go to 144 and fight Shakur. I'm like, okay, you will go to 144 and fight me. So then fuck it, let's do 144 then, if that's what you're saying. Then after that shit, he said, I will fight you at 140. I'm like, okay, well, if you want to come down to 140, I'm down with it too. So my thing is like, y'all not really paying attention. Y'all trying to like make me into this person that's just saying anything, but I'm getting all of these things from these fighters. What I got from Devin, no disrespect to Devin, Devin the truth. I think Devin a hell of a fighter. No disrespect to Devin, but he fought Jose Ramirez at 144 pounds, right?
He did.
So I got the idea. I'm like, okay, since we never really can really be in the same weight class, he always a weight class ahead of me. We can fight at 144, meet in the middle. That way, he don't have to suck all the way down to my weight class. I don't have to go all the way up to his weight class, and we can make it fair. So I just think when y'all running these shits, y'all gotta like say what it all is.
He basically saying keep it in mind when you're saying these things and really know what's the thought process behind these things getting said. Don't just come out and spin narratives in certain ways. But it's honestly it's part of Shakur's job to put the narrative that way. He should have been said this and made this clear himself the first time around.
Y'all not really saying everything that it is. Y'all saying basically, y'all like making me just look like I'm just saying some crazy shit. Like,
Okay. But listen, as the best fighter in the world, you're going everybody shooting at you, bro. That's what's gonna happen. That's what happens when you in that spot. But I am gonna push you on this though. I am gonna push you on this because it will only be fair if I push you on something. If you can make 147, make 147. You can make 147 against Conor. That means you can make the weight. So if you can make the weight, then why not fight? Take their belts, fight Ryan, and fight Devin at their weight.
Because once again, I'm not a 147 pounder. I'm actually a lot smaller than them guys that's fighting at 147 pounds. So I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Shout out to Shakur for being self-aware and down to earth. That's how you know he's at a high level of fighting. That speaks to the confidence and that speaks to the high IQ he has as well.
But what I'm trying to understand is, and I answered your question, answer mine. Why am I the only fighter that y'all want to fight at 135, 140, and 147? Why do I gotta fight 3 different weight classes for everybody else satisfaction?
Yeah, okay, check
I know he didn't just say satisfaction.
this out. I can only speak for myself. The only reason why is number one, I would want to see you against Ryan. I would want to see you against Haney. And I think I pretty much know the answer against Conor Benn after the pro grade fight. But I still would like to see that fight. With how spectacular you are, bro. With how spectacular you are, I really 135. I just know you're going to look even more spectacular. I know what Lomachenko can do at featherweight, but you really saw where he was at lightweight, right? Duran fight at middleweight and all those things. Now, I don't want you to rush to 147, not at all. Speaking for myself, 140 is the sweet spot. But the smoke, a lot of the smoke is at 147. You get what I'm saying? But that's just from my perspective. The only reason why is because you're so fantastic of a fighter.
Okay, but no disrespect, right? Why are you not asking anyway to fight at 122, 126, and 130?
He should fight at 130.
Why? I never heard
or wait a minute. Don't go to 130 yet until Bam Rodriguez. I want to see him against Bam Rodriguez.
But I'm asking you, why haven't you asked him to fight at these 3 different weight classes, but you're asking me?
No, I don't want you to fight at 3 different weight classes. I'm only talking about 147 or 140. I ain't talking 135, nothing. You at 140 now.
My natural weight class is like, but you're not.
I understand. And if you fight at 135 and do your thing, I'm watching, supporting, and I know you're going to do your thing. But as far as what makes me eager, isn't 135. what makes me eager is what else can Shakur do? Don't forget, I was the one that thought you versus Teofimo Lopez was 50-50, all because Teofimo Lopez was bigger than you. I saw what you did to Teo. I'm like, what else can he do?
Not only bigger, Teo was more athletic, and Shakur still put on a masterclass against him.
Now, I wasn't really thinking about 147 until you said you'll fight Conor at 147.
I respect what you're saying, though. I'm hearing what you're saying. You're saying that I'm that good, and I appreciate you for that, because that's the truth. But once again, I will get to 147. That's not a weight class that I won't get to. But I'm 28 years old, and 147 will be the last weight class of my career. I don't plan on going no past 147. And once again, when I get there, I get there. But as of right now, I'm not there. So a lot of people want to force me up there. But like I said, if it do happens, I'm a bad motherfucker anyway. So
yeah, okay.
Any situation you put me in, I'm gonna be A-okay.
So here's what I'm getting from you, which is why I said your answer was a good answer. Because what you're actually saying is, I wouldn't duck any smoke from anybody. You're not trying to say no to anybody. Conor Benn, Ryan, or Haney. I'm not saying no. But in order for the fight,
yes.
Right, and just for your legacy and everything. But for the fight to happen, it should all make sense. Where you said that you can go in your world, because you already know that I'm naturally 135. So what you're saying is, Haney, you just went up to welter. Let's not act like you've come down to welter or you've been living your whole life there. So you're saying we can do 144. That should be easy enough to you, and that makes sense. With Ryan, you told me 144 and 140. So we should do that if you want to fight me.
From a business perspective, I'm not ducking and dodging nobody. So if anybody want to come to the negotiation table, and my door is open. Now, if you come in at 147, we can talk about it and figure it out. But once again, my door is open, and I'll fight against anybody. So that's all I really wanted to get you to understand. But everybody can run with their narratives, but understand this: I'm a bad motherfucker. I'm in the gym daily. I'm training my ass off, and I will be ready for whoever wants smoke.
Dude, listen, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for going live. And you want to smoke with the War Room. You want to smoke with us. So you're doing your thing, man. Thanks, bro. I think you cleared the air, bro. Peace.
All right, my guy.
All right, brother. So, yo, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Since I'm here and I'm usually not on Instagram live. Lies, Turkey not putting money on you. Oh man, not see. Listen, bro. I thought that was great fan service. I thought Shakur Stevenson popping up. I know he's on his way somewhere. He didn't have to do that, and he's actually speaking to the point, which made sense to me. Like I said, his response made sense to me. He ain't say nothing wrong. I don't think so. I think he's the best fighter in the world. Let me see. Love that. He said he wasn't ready. He said he will move up once he's ready. Yeah, he will move. Okay. What he's saying is he's not trying to be a welterweight, but he would fight Ryan and Haney. You get what I'm saying? So he's not willing to be a welterweight yet, but the business need great fights. So he's willing to fight Ryan or Haney under reasonable circumstances, which they've said themselves. You get what I'm saying? Hold on, let me see. Somebody requested something. Oh, okay. You get what I mean? Who should he fight at 140? Oh man, it's really up to him. But I'm just saying, Inoue kind of going through the same thing, low key. He getting Miz to fight Shushu, and I don't want him to move away from Bam Rodriguez. I think stay right there for the moment. You about to fight Nakatani. Let's get that Bam Rodriguez fight. Then you can move up if you want. He's saving 147 for last. I think he's trying to see, but it seems to me that he's trying to fight at 147 once his body naturally grows to 147, because he said, I'm only 28. So he's saying that 147 will be his max weight. So
when you referred to his age, I thought he was saying like he's too old to be doing that. Now he's too young.
Saying Okay, look at it like this. Look at it like this. Look at it like this. I know what that meant, my old ass. Look at it like this. Floyd Mayweather, his absolute max was 154. He was hardly a welterweight, but he would make the fights happen. You get what I'm saying? That's why he fought Canelo. He wasn't going to fight Canelo, but Canelo said he'd go to 150. So Floyd said, we'll do 152. So I think that's what Shakur is saying. I'll fight Ryan. I'll fight Devin Haney. Haney, you are one fight away from 144. So you can do that if you want to fight me. And Ryan, you mentioned yourself to Mike Coppinger that you'll go as low as 140. That's what he's saying. And I think that's the reason why, because he had an issue with us content creators and media and stuff like that, bringing up the weight, right? But still, it was enough of a trigger for him to clear the air. As long as we're being fair. You get what I'm saying? If we're not being fair, then we just keep talking shit after you clear the air, then that's just being ridiculous. Let me see. Showbiz, your content was so needed in the boxing game. Keep it going. Love you, boy. Thank you, brother. Ryan was capping. Was Ryan capping? I made a video where I said Shakur and Ryan were capping, right? And then I brought up why they both were capping. But now you kind of understand where Shakur is coming from. I think it's up to Ryan now to explain where he was coming from. As long as it's not about being right, it's about knowing the truth. It's not about trolling and hating fighters and putting them under the fire. It's about being informed. And like Shakur started off saying, I just want to let you know where my head is at. So I think you guys ask the questions and you guys troll to try to get attention. And then I put out shorts and I'm yelling and screaming with a taco hat on. But when the response comes, then you have to accept it. I mean, that's the response. Ryan is him. Okay, yeah, back to Ryan. I think Ryan wants Shakur. Okay. But then you also have to think of where he is right now. Where he is right now is he's a WBC champion at 147. So I don't think it comes off as a cap. But I think what and for Shakur saw it as, oh, you just clout chasing and to get your fight built up, because he said it before the fight. But I think it's mostly, I got to do the right thing. I got to do what's best, right? Defend the WBC championship at 147. I'm already here. No need to hop around, all right? I think he was genuine and wanted to fight Shakur. But I can get Shakur in the fact that we didn't start negotiations at 144, so you're a clout chaser. That's where Shakur is coming from. You can't blame Shakur from coming from that point of view, right? And the guy it's a cap. I don't blame you for thinking that. Shakur, in my opinion, wants smoke with everything. He's a truth seeker within himself, a truth seeker on social media, a truth seeker with the war room, a truth seeker amongst his contemporaries. So he's going to respond. If you notice, he'll respond to normal comments on X. It gets to him, right? He's such like I say, it's like a robot.
And he's admitted that himself multiple times, that certain words get to him and he reacts, and he's noticed the repercussions of his reactions from that.
He remembers everything, and he doesn't want any door open or anybody to misjudge him, right? And that's why I appreciate him coming on to the live. I'm about to go and get some lunch and feed my kids. But hold on real quick. We need Shakur in there with Tank or Dev. Tank? Tell Tank to jump on, bro. Respecting him for showing up 100%. Okay, this is my last statement, brother. Obafemi losing Sunday. Hey, bro, if Obafemi lose, I'ma be pissed. This is the best crop. I'm sorry for putting a pin in the Tank conversation, but this is the best crop of African WWE superstars ever. Between him, Trick Williams, Obi, Bouncy, ridiculous. Okay, but Tank ducking. No, Tank ain't ducking. Tank got real life shit. Hey, I'm not laughing at him.
is true. Tank has real life shit. And I don't think it's fair to Tank. I don't think it's fair to Tank fans. It's definitely not fair to Shakur or Ryan or Devin or even Lamont Roach. I don't think it's fair to any of them to be bringing up Tank right now because there's nothing they can do about it. There's nothing Tank can do about it, right? Other than fight the fight that's ahead of him right now. That's the fight. I can give a damn, right? The ring and all that. Brother, the fight is what he's fighting right now. Then nothing happens if he loses that fight. You get what I'm saying? So he has to win this fight. And after that, we can talk Tank, whenever. Let me see. Shakur, something just happened. Yeah, he said, man, you acting real old, right? You have no idea. Bro, I've never been on Instagram. I'm out here bad. Get my hair cut tomorrow. Let me see. Thank you for saying that. All right, man, listen. Thank you guys for showing up and showing out. And special thanks to Shakur Stevenson for clearing the air. You guys can make videos about this or whatever and pick apart what you think. But his answer to me was that of satisfactory. All right, I'm out. Huh.
Eddie Hearn, kind enough to join us right here and now to talk about a lot of things. Can't wait for this. Hello, Eddie. How are you? This is a casual Eddie. I appreciate this. Tie down. The work's done.
It is like 9-10 p.m. here.
Sure.
Errol,
Sure.
I don't know why I'm the last one when I'm 5 hours in front.
Save the best for last, no?
Oh, I see. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it made me feel better.
And I know you had a very busy day, so I wanted to give us some padding, right? Would you have preferred to be earlier in the day?
Probably, yeah, maybe a couple of hours earlier, but it's fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm happy to be here. Sorry, I've just realised how wonky my tie is. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Should have dressed up for you, really.
No, I like this look because I feel like this is after hours. This is when, like the freaks come out at night. This is when the truth comes out. So I appreciate that.
Whoa.
Thank you so much for the time. Thanks for doing this. How was earlier today? How was the press conference? We saw the face-off. What was the vibe like?
Yeah, it was good, actually. First time I've kind of spent any time with Rico. He's a pretty cool guy. Huge, hands like shovels, very confident. Usyk, cool as ever, very funny, on point. Really good face-off. Great event. I mean, I feel like, this fight is a fight that you're going to be watching and you will honestly think it's AI. This venue will be at the foot of the pyramids. And when I say the foot, I mean right up close. This isn't going to be like the pyramids a mile in the background. This is going to be amongst them. And I think Rico's got a mountain to climb, to be honest with you. I mean, he's a very determined guy. He's a pound-for-pound number one in his given sport, but he's fighting a pound-for-pound number one in boxing. I think he's going to have to do something extraordinary to win the fight. But good luck to him, and people thinking Usyk's maybe coming towards the end. I think it's going to be a very difficult challenge in the world of Rico, but a lovely man, a tough man, a huge man, and it's going to be an interesting night, May 23rd.
Curious from an atmosphere standpoint, obviously I think some lessons were learned last year in Times Square. Having a cool location isn't enough sometimes. Will there be fans? Are they going to open this up? How will it look as far as the atmosphere?
There will be a crowd there. I mean, obviously, don't forget, it is a very unique location. It's not one that's going to be full up with thousands and thousands of fans, but there will be a crowd. And I think, I've seen all the drawings, all the AI-generated images. It looks spectacular. I mean, it really does. Like nothing I've seen before. Times Square was cool, but this is different. I mean, this is one of the wonders of the world. And, it's going to be a unique event. So, yeah, people in attendance, atmosphere, excitement, and something very different.
Obviously, very stressful times in the Middle East right now. Is there a contingency plan in place if things get worse, where you have to move the event?
Not yet. I mean, at the moment, we're keeping on top of that. We was asked to promote the event on behalf of Ring Magazine and Turk El Sheikh, and it's obviously something that's being monitored, but not an immediate concern. And hoping when the event comes around, it won't be a concern at all. So all across it, but no plans to move the event at all at the moment.
How does this work? Matchroom being the promoter of this event, you weren't the promoter of the event on Saturday. at Tottenham, which we'll talk about in a moment. And so what happens? They come to you and say, we want you to run this, we want you to promote this, and here's X amount of dollars to do so, even though these two fighters in the main event aren't your guys?
Yeah, basically. I mean, Saturday's event was a Netflix event. We've been promoting the last few Riyadh season and ring events. Obviously, December 27th in Riyadh with Naya Inoue, January 31st with Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. We also have a contract to promote the next ring fight in the US as well. And we're promoting May 23rd in Egypt. So we've been doing that a while now for His Excellency, and we love doing it. We've got a great team of people. We like working with the seller guys.
I would never call another man His Excellency.
Pretty seamless all round, and I think we're trusted to do a good job. And I think we do it. From our point of view, it's a bit different. We're not the actual owners or promoters of the event. We are, as I've said before, we're providing a service from our elite team to make sure that the event is run to a standard as expected by His Excellency and Ring Magazine. So important business for the company, something different, and something we've enjoyed now for, what is well over a year.
You were in attendance on Saturday. Why were you in attendance?
Well, a number of reasons. We had Justice Honey fighting on the undercard. We're in deep negotiations with Turki Al-Sheikh for AJ to fight Tyson Fury. He was invited. He wanted to watch Fury up close. Yeah, I just felt that it's something, given the situation that we're in, that we should be at, and we should be in the conversation for. We had meetings at the venue with Turki Al-Sheikh and the Netflix executives about the fight. And, as it draws closer, just felt that it was an event that we should be at.
Okay, so just working my way up, Justice Hooney, Saturday morning, reports came out that there was an issue as far as his involvement on the card with Spencer Brown. How did that get resolved?
Yeah, I think the reports weren't entirely accurate, but essentially we have a multi-fight agreement with Justice Hooney. He fought on the card, and we didn't receive all the information that we needed to regarding his contract for the event. So, again, a lot of the reports were incorrect, that we were trying to stop the fight. This wasn't the case at all. We were just simply reserving our rights and making sure that we were across the commercial contracts for the fight.
And all good in the end?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he got the win. There's still a bit of paperwork to resolve, but these events are pretty wild, to be honest with you. Sometimes they're a little bit all over the place. I mean, we weren't promoting that event, so probably a little bit different to maybe what we're used to as well. But certainly we like the paperwork to be in order.
What was it like for you to be in attendance watching Conor Benn and not being a part of his team, a part of his camp promoting his fight? What was that like? I was watching you the whole time and trying to read your body language.
There Ariel go again, fishing for a controversial answer to get his clips.
Which I was wondering what was going on in your mind.
I mean, I thought, I don't know what I felt, really. It was a bit weird. I mean, I wasn't, obviously, I guess subconsciously you want him to perform and do well and win. Then you kind of realize, I mean, I'm used to screaming and shouting for him. I've done it since he was 18 years old, done it for 10 years, over 10 years. So it was quite strange not, I guess, having that kind of emotion. I was a bit, during the fight, I didn't feel sorry for him, obviously, but I wanted him to try and perform a little bit better, because you could see the you could feel the crowd feedback, and you could see him getting incredibly frustrated as well. And so, yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel many emotions, if I'm honest with you. I mean, it's quite strange that Mr. Eubank plonked himself next to me. That was good fun. And I had AJ on the other side. So, it was a frustrating night for Conor, obviously, but he got the win.
What did you think of his performance? You said frustrating, but
he's big hating because Conor left him. Conor won. It wasn't pretty, but he could have definitely said more good things than that. He's definitely still tight about Conor leaving.
Expand on it. What do you think of how he looked?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the whole thing really, Regis obviously shouldn't have been in the ring. I think he probably pulled out of the fight about 4 times and was kept in the fight. And obviously he said after the fight that he had, I think, 4 injuries and was petrified going into the ring. And I think Conor will be very disappointed not to have got him out of there. He was there for the taking. I don't think Conor's as effective down there at that weight. I think He didn't look like he had any power, any shots. And I think he looks a lot better and a lot stronger and more effective up at 154 or even closer to 160. But, you know, a frustrating night, some bad cuts, but obviously an extremely lucrative one at the same time.
Did Chris Eubanks say anything to you throughout the fight?
No, not really. I congratulated him on the birth of his twins. I got a grunt out of that one. And when he said goodbye to AJ at the end of the night, I thought I might get a goodbye here, and I didn't. And then AJ said to him, "Oh, Chris, Eddie says goodbye as well," and he sort of gave me a fist pump and smirked. But it was okay. It was pretty cool, actually. I think that
it's a little awkward.
When you go through things like that, we had two really good, fun promotions, to be fair. And I don't think I'm his favourite cup of tea, but it was good fun.
Did you run into Conor at all? Did you see him?
No.
Did you try to speak to him or no?
No. There's nothing to say, really. I mean, you know, it gets talked about all the time. And, you know, I was at the media press conference today, they were asking me loads of questions about it still. It's kind of like never ending, but I'm not really, you know, it is what it is. There's a few loose ends to tie up, but the team's across that. And, you know, it is what it is. It's done and dusted.
One last thing on him. I thought it was interesting that, well, I guess the media was just sort of saying what they're told. Free agent now. Is he actually a free agent? Do you feel like he's a free agent?
I think if you want to get sucked into the fact that someone would pay $15 million for a 10-round fight, where it's probably worth $1 million, and have no future options, no deal in place, you are probably the biggest idiot on the planet. But that is what...
Before he was saying there was no way that was just a one-fight deal. Now, after confirming it's a one-fight deal, he's calling it the biggest idiot on the planet, or calling Dana White the biggest idiot on the planet. But to me, it just seems like Dana White had the money to play.
Was reported to us. That was what we had to effectively match. And now it's a case of making sure there's that disclosure in place to prove to us that that is the truth. Of which we will be making sure it is the truth. And if it's not the truth, there'll be a major problem, and we'll get to the bottom of if that is the truth or not. I would be astonished if it is, but that's what Zuffa's lawyers told us. So, like I said, we'll look at full disclosure on that to make sure there was no prior conversations, no prior agreements, or nothing in place at all that would suggest that this fight is anything else than a one-fight deal for $15 million for a 10-round fight on an undercard with no future options.
Did you see Dana White's video on Saturday promoting this fight?
What, when he couldn't pronounce Regis Prograis' name?
Prograis, I think he called him.
Progress?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was like, I was quite surprised that, you know, you'd make that unbelievable investment and not even turn up. I mean, obviously, I know he has his UFC event as well, but I didn't see any senior executives from Zuffa at the fight in the changing room. It's a pretty significant investment, isn't it? You must have some serious money if you're just willing to spunk 15 million up the wall in a 10-round fight and not even send anybody to sort of try and secure that deal post the one-fight deal. Quite astonishing. They must be very confident that they can carry on that agreement.
Were you surprised no one was there?
Of course. But it doesn't matter, does it, if you're already got him locked down?
Mm. And so then the big one is obviously Tyson wins, and there's this big...
Is he implying that when he goes to his fighters' fights that he doesn't have them locked down?
Interaction afterwards, and a lot has been said about it. You just said that there were meetings at the venue with Turkey and the Netflix executives. Was the thinking that it was going to be announced and that didn't happen? What actually did transpire?
I think there's a difference between we're all moving forward to finalise the fight and a fight being done and signed. Okay, and And the first is where we are at the moment. It is absolutely our intention to try and close this deal with His Excellency, with Netflix, with everybody involved. But it's not done, and it's not signed. And we have been here on a number of occasions before, not with His Excellency involved, and not with this amount of money where the fight has fallen through. And, you know, we were asked to get into the ring, and I asked AJ if he wanted to get in the ring, and he said to me, I don't want to get in the ring and announce a fight that's not done. I feel like that's kind of not being fair and honest with the British public either, and getting people excited. What if it doesn't happen? You know, how many times have we done this before? So I said, no, I get it. So I told the guys we wouldn't be getting in the ring, and they said, okay, but, you know, he might shout something over the rope. I said, no problem, he can shout what he wants. And that's kind of where we got to. And I think, on reflection, I think AJ did a pretty good job all round. I mean, it's quite easy at that point, Ariel, as you know, to just get in the ring. Next thing, you're in a ring announcing a fight that you haven't even signed for. And this fight is the biggest fight in the history of British boxing. It's the biggest fight in boxing today. And it's one of the biggest fights of all time. I don't think it's something we should play around with and just be told to do that and do that until everything is in order in a place that we want it to be, especially given what AJ's gone through over the last couple of months. We need to make sure that everything's exactly right for us. And as I said, we're fully committed to making this fight, and I fully expect this fight to happen. But it will happen at our speed in the right way, and hopefully that won't be too long.
I'll go one step further. I thought AJ looked phenomenal in that exchange. He looked unbothered. He called himself the landlord, the boss. We showed the photo of him, not with the overt aggressive FU, with the sort of low key, like you've got to put your eyes down here and look at my FU.
Yeah, I didn't even see that one.
Not this one. Let's show him the other one. The other one is so damn good of the low FU because it's like, I don't even have enough respect for you to lift it up in your face. I thought he looked phenomenal in that exchange. He couldn't have come out better.
Yeah, and I was proud of him actually, because when it gets stuck on you like that, it's quite easy to lose your rag and stand up and start beating your chest and get in the ring. But that's what they wanted, really. And I thought he played it perfectly well. He didn't sing to their tune. And to be honest with you, we've always been calling for this fight for years and years. And it's always been like, oh, you'll dance to my tune. You're a dosser. I'm the champion. It should be 60-40. But so it's actually quite nice to be called out. You know, and you hear things like Fury saying, if I can't get Anthony Joshua, I don't want another fight. Like, I might retire from boxing. So you fight me. And we shall oblige. I think there's very little doubt of that. But yeah, it was pretty cool how AJ played it. And you know, like I said, he's been through a lot, Ariel. You know, it's not just a case of going back into camp and signing a contract and getting on with it. Like there's been obviously a lot going on in his life. And I think he's done remarkably well to get him back to this position, you know, almost physically ready to start a full camp. And I've got to say, he looks great. He sounds great. I think he has a real purpose going into this camp. And I'm really excited. And I have no doubt he'll beat Tyson Fury.
When the meeting concluded and you all went your separate ways before the fight, was there an understanding or deal in place to say, hey, we're going to have a face-off here? Because there was a tweet that came out afterwards saying it was announced, but that didn't exactly...
Tyson Fury ain't exactly in his prime, but ain't nobody just going to get Tyson Fury out the way.
You know, comply with the video. What was actually agreed to by the end?
No, what I said to Turkey Al-Sheikh and Gabe and the guys from Netflix was, look, you know, AJ will make his decision during the fight. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to get in the ring. Let's see how he feels. Let me talk to him. This was before he even arrived at the venue. You know, we received the contract from these guys at the end of last week, which is being reviewed and going back to with our red line comments. So we're not, you know, whilst I hope the contract will be dealt with swiftly, it's just not done. And I think it just, you know, I think maybe a little bit of a lack of communication, because I think His Excellency is probably the kind of guy that says, it's done. And I'm very confident he's right. But we still have to go through the process. And AJ will not sign an agreement that 100% happy with.
Was Turkey upset that he didn't get into the ring?
I don't think so. No. And I think after the fact, I think he would have quite enjoyed the exchange. I mean, I thought it was quite dramatic. I mean, you've got Turkey in there calling AJ out, calling me out, make the fight. Will you accept? Get in the ring. And we're kind of just sitting there. You know, the whole stadium's watching AJ, and and it was pretty wild, to be honest with you. There was a lot of pressure.
It felt like a standoff.
It was. It was like, you know, we're just not gonna sing to your tune on this one. You know, we're gonna do the right thing. We tell you now we want the fight, but we'll make sure that we get everything done properly. And in due time, AJ will be there to collect his rent.
Incredible line, by the way. The issue is we're so close and we still hear one more fight before the big one. Can we get rid of that one fight and just have, how much longer do we have to wait?
The contract that we have been offered includes the one fight in July. So we had a couple of discussions with those guys about the possibility of going straight into the fight or a run-out fight in July and then the fight in November. Our preference, to be fair, was, as it always has been, to have that fight first. Okay? Now, again, going back to Ariel, Tyson's just done 12 rounds and a really good warm-up with Makhmudov. We will likely do the same. And I think given the injuries that he suffered in that crash and given everything that's happened, that is the right thing for him to do.
Smart to take it slow.
Now, people saying about Deontay Wilder, and I've said before in the media in the last couple of days, we will take Deontay Wilder first and then fight Tyson Fury if that's what people want us to do. And if that's a different deal to look at, we'll look at that as well. But I think the level of opposition that we're expected to fight in our run out is probably the same kind of level as Makhmudov, and they don't want too much risk because it's what is at stake with AJ against Fury, you know. But we have to do what's right for AJ as well, you know. And I think given the situation, I'll be honest, I would prefer the plan to stay the same. But, you know, we'll see what happens in discussions.
Was the fight on Saturday Fury's one fight, or does he have another one fight before the November fight?
I don't know what his contract says, but, you know, he wanted a fight first and we wanted a fight first.
Okay.
The big problem is our fight was supposed to take place in March. But unfortunately, that couldn't happen. So our fight is delayed by 3 or 4 months. That's the issue. Originally, the plan was we have our warm-up fight in March, he has his in April, and then we fight in August. But because of the situation, ours is delayed by a couple of months.
Have any names been discussed for that July fight? As I know you said probably not a Wilder type, and that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Really,
no?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, again, no one of serious note, if I'm honest. I think if that would be everyone's preference. You know, the story is the comeback. The story is the return to the ring. But we would not go into that fight without having the Tyson Fury fight signed.
Would that be an O2 type of arena or bigger?
Again, yeah, wherever those guys wanted to stay situations, including the Tyson Fury fight, we will take that fight where it's decided it will be. You know, I know there was some discussions about Croke Park. If it was a summer fight, now we're looking at November. So you know, Wembley has been discussed as well. But you know, we'll be led by those guys.
Can you explain how AJ can fight again on Netflix while he is still contractually tied to DAZN, right? So how is this going to work out? It will be the same thing as the Jake Paul situation.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, his fight in July is likely to land on DAZN.
Okay.
And then the fight in November is likely to land on Netflix. So again, a commercial agreement between all parties to make sure that DAZN, who are not just AJ's exclusive partner, they're our exclusive partner as well, are happy with the situation and the setup. We did it before. We got the Jake Paul fight over the line, and we're pretty confident that we can do the same here.
This contract that you received at the end of the week, is there a lot of work to be done, or are we in a pretty good place?
We're in a pretty good place. I mean, obviously, there's a red line to go back. It's a big fight. You know, these guys move very quickly. You know, almost to the point that you could receive a contract and say, you know, we want it back tomorrow. But AJ is a meticulous guy. You know, he's got his own legal team as well that sit across stuff that will review it. We'll review it on his behalf with our legal team. And that's been done now. And it will go back to the Saudis in the next sort of 24, 48 hours for their comments. And again, you know, I think they're very keen there's nothing major in the red lines, but obviously things that have to be dealt with to make sure everyone's happy.
Will TKO be involved in the fight?
No.
Are you surprised they got the Sky deal?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's probably a good deal for Sky. Really, I think they don't have any boxing content. They've done a deal with MVP for a few number of shows, and then who else are Sky going to go with? Matchroom are with DAZN, Queensberry are with DAZN, Boxer are with BBC. They've got the women's boxing with MVP. I think it makes sense. I think gives them a little bit of noise, but what we're seeing so far on Sky Sports was the Zuffa show from, I think, last weekend or the weekend before. And I think there's another one coming up. And then they plan to do something in June with Chris Billam-Smith now. But, not exactly setting the world on fire.
They've signed a couple of these names, CBS, Richardson, Hitchens, Edgar Berlanga. Are these the types of fighters you were expecting them to sign?
Yeah, I think, again, like to me, it's not really the fighters, it's more the delivery of the shows and what the plan is. I mean, they keep staying in the apex there, and every show that comes up is just so random. And I don't know, like the last one came up with zero promotion. I think they've got another one coming up with Shane Mosley Jr., is it? Headlining or something like that?
Yep.
Again, like very little promotion. Is the league thing even happening?
Why is the connection always bad when Ariel interviewing somebody?
What is happening with the governing bodies? Obviously, Jai Alcantara lost his belt. Richardson Hitchens has now had the mandatory called on him, which was ordered before he joins Zuffa anyway. Is that going to be a thing? I don't know. It just, I say all the time, I've said it before, these guys are very powerful and smart, but I actually don't think they know what they're doing. Like, the more I look at it, I'm not sure there even is a strategy. It's kind of like sign who you can sign and then go from there. I mean, let's be honest. Either way, if it's part of a multi-fight deal or if it's a one-fight deal, which is very unlikely, the Conor Benn deal may go down as one of the worst pieces of business. I just can't understand the strategy there. But, I give them the benefit of the doubt that they are these super smart people and they have some kind of plan. We are approaching 5 months in, and I haven't seen anything yet that is remotely impressive. But have you seen one Zuffa show so far? How many have we had? 6? 5, 6, 7?
Yes, maybe less than that. Yeah.
At least 5, I think.
4 or 5.
Yeah, and this one's coming up 6. Have you seen one impressive show so far? Or anything impressive from Zuffa Boxing?
Dropping 15 mil on one fight is impressive. Yeah.
Well, Canelo Crawford, I thought, was a really impressive show.
No, but let's be honest. Like, I'm not even being a hater.
You are being a hater because Canelo Crawford was definitely a masterclass work.
Like, it's just. If I did those shows, I would get screamed out of town by fight fans. What is this? What is Eddie Hearn doing? There's 150 people here in this room, and who are these people? What are these fights? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of, the longer it goes on, the more confused I am. But maybe it's part of this bigger plan. Maybe they're trying to lull us into a sense of security. And it's like, we don't think they really know what they're doing. And then bang, they come out and they really know what they're doing. But I'm not so sure.
As an aside, we had Shakur on yesterday. Could you imagine a world where Shakur being promoted by Eddie Hearn is fighting Conor Benn? What a scene that would be.
Yeah, Conor Benn's not going to fight Shakur, but they'll do everything they can to make the Ryan Garcia fight, I think. How big that fight is, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see the Netflix numbers from the weekend. And interesting to see so many fights.
We lost him there real quick. And we were cooking with gas. Can't be his phone, right? Oh. Okay, all right. Little technical difficulté, but we will get back to Eddie Hearn, who is always a great chat and very insightful and very open. And
He got too much money for this, man. He couldn't even edit this out. Might just skip this video just for this amateur hire. This won't even happen on my show. I just started doing this.
How big that fight is, it'd be interesting. You know, it'd be interesting to see the Netflix numbers from the weekend. And interesting to see how many, so many fights. So you'd have to think that the number was less than 10 million, certainly. And it may even be less than 7 or 8. And you know, that seems much less than the normal numbers from their boxing offering. I don't know. But just strange that a UK number was given, I felt, rather than a global number.
okay, let's see if they come out. I've been on the air for a few hours, so I don't know if they came out with that, but I don't think they have. Just wanted to go back quickly to Dana. He did say this weekend that Turkey actually reached out to him about booking you versus Dana. Did you receive a similar call?
Not a real official offer, but Turkey's kind of asked me if I would do it, and we've had conversations and an offer from Misfits as well.
Oh God,
you know. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, he's kind of got me a bit excited about it, to be honest with you. I mean, he called me out on the Piers Morgan show for a fight. I explained that I'm pretty useless. I've seen him spar. He looks quite decent. So I've got into a little bit of training. I've started to think about it. I've started to visualize my ring walk music. And I've started to get very excited by the money. And now he keeps calling me a pussy. But I'm like, well, let's see if I'm a pussy. And then he says, yeah, but we're both bums and we'll go on the start of the night. I mean, you know, would this be?
Gigantic.
Huge. I mean, we would make 30 million each. So I'm all over it. So
I don't know about 30 million. They're both heavy. They both have big pockets themselves. I feel like the only way they make 30 million if they bet their own money into the pot.
You know, stick me in, put my name down, find me a pair of shorts, and I'll travel. So he called me out, I accept.
You're in. So basically what you're trying to say is who actually is the P word, right? That's what you're trying to say.
Find out. What I'm trying to say is you put words in my mouth, Ariel. Let's find out who the real pussy is.
Well, do you think he actually considers this?
I mean, if he really thinks, I don't know, what does he think? I'm an easy touch. I mean, I'm very limited, but I'll have a right go. I tell you, I'll get myself in good shape. And I'm a big lump, and I think I'll knock him out. But also, if I get knocked out and I make $30 million, it's not the saddest day in the world, and people would find it quite amusing.
He said he saw your speed bag work, and he thought it was in slow motion.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit harsh. I mean, that's one of, look at that.
It's nice work.
I'd like to see him do that. I'd like to see him do that. I don't know about the facial expressions, but I'd like to see him do that. Look at that. I could do that on his head.
Definitely not terrible.
Very similar. Just ping him all night. Quite excited about it now. I'm going to go and hit the gym after this call.
You told us that there was a bit of a DM exchange. Any more interactions between you two recently?
No.
Since the Tom Aspinall,
I mean, obviously,
yep.
Yeah. I mean, no, on the Tom Aspinall stuff. I mean, I think there's, you know, at some point it's going to be really interesting to see what plays out there. Obviously, after the Pereira game fight, because Tom's going to be ordered to fight the winner, and you know, I've had a lot of exchanges and discussions with Tom. He's made it quite clear of his position. And I think we're all completely aligned on what we want to do moving forward. You know, we're under contract to the UFC. We want to continue. You know, Tom's got some big announcements coming up. He's one of them there. Just become, you know, a presenter on our DAZN boxing show. Is going to be really involved in the Usyk against Rico broadcast and build up as well. But more importantly, he's starting to get back into training, and I think he's excited at a potential return. And you know, it's not a time for calling out what's right and wrong. But I said to a reporter today, tell me the top 5 stars in the UFC right now. So I'd like to ask you the same question.
I'm curious.
This is a good question for Ariel, but what reporter did he ask that to? You could easily ask that to somebody who's outside of the UFC and like zero clue, because it's not really a spectator sport.
Curious what that reporter said over at the boxing press conference.
Well, I'd not heard of all of them.
Okay. I'll say, yeah.
I mean, he said Islam.
Yep. Agree.
Tom Aspinall.
Okay.
Pereira.
Yep.
Who else you saying?
Ilya Taporia.
Yes, he said him.
Khamzat Chimaev.
Yes, and him. I think that was the 5.
Okay.
And I was like, I mean,
and obviously Conor McGregor might be coming back in July.
Yeah, but I did say to him, active.
Yeah, fair.
Active. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like right now I look at Tom Aspinall and think you are one of the biggest stars in the sport. And let's be honest, that heavyweight division is limited. And whoever wins out, Pereira and Gain, the fight with you is huge. Huge. So it's going to be an interesting discussion, because I think they really need Tom to return. And I think he can provide them outstanding value, huge interest, and big numbers. And we want to be respected in that fashion.
Couldn't agree more with everything that you said. Have there been any talks about when they want him to return, etc.? Nothing.
No conversations. He hasn't heard anything from them, nor have we. Only that Tom's getting himself fit and healthy and ready for a return, and he's excited. You know, he feels great. I mean, he's excited to have some support and an army of people and an organisation behind him fighting for him. So. Yeah, we're very excited, and the aim is to help the UFC in continuing to build the brand of Tom Aspinall, and inadvertently that's going to benefit the organisation. We're going to make one of their champions an even bigger draw. We're going to make sure that he does bigger numbers. We're going to provide more value to you for him, so that when we come to the table and we're talking about a new deal or whatever it is, I can show you the value that he is bringing to the organization. And the reality is that Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira, or the Game rematch, is a huge fight. In fact, it's one of the biggest fights that can be made within the UFC.
Or John Jones, by the way, who still used to say that.
I mean, even better.
Yeah.
I don't think John Jones fighting anytime soon, unfortunately.
I was hoping to see him at the O2 event a couple of weeks ago in London. I thought he should have been front and center there.
Chisora fight?
No, UFC.
Oh, the UFC. No, I think he was very surprised he never got an invite. He got a text from Dana at about 6 p.m. on the day of the fight saying, "Would you like to come tonight?" And he lives 5 hours away. So that wasn't ideal. But I just find it baffling that you can do an event in the UK and not invite the heavyweight world champion who is from the UK. And I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't exactly a card full of huge names, was it? Tom Aspinall being there would have been great for the event. So, you know, but whether he was an afterthought or they just forgot that he lived so far away from London, who knows? But yeah, he would have gone for sure if he was invited.
I saw you mention recently other UFC fighters have reached out. You've talked to them. You also said that to us at the very beginning, but some time has passed. Any names that you can discuss?
No, but we've spoke to probably half a dozen UFC fighters. I don't think we want to go and start building a huge roster of UFC fighters We are a sports management company. We just signed the biggest star in rugby in Henry Pollock. We have another signing dropping this week as well. I do expect us to sign one more minimum, maybe 2 more UFC fighters. But again, not looking to become a UFC management organization, but there will definitely be additions to the team.
Can you give us hints? British, European, champions,
Not
men,
going
women?
there.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You have a show this weekend. Well, round third here, as they say in America, meaning we're coming home. Show this weekend. Ben Whitaker, who's must-see TV in my opinion. Molly McCann on the card as well in Liverpool.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
Yeah, a really
Ben Whitaker is my guy.
big run coming up. So Ben Whitaker fights Suarez, who's a big power puncher. And this is a big moment for Ben, a big run, because if he's successful on Saturday, he'll go on the Boots Ennis and Zayas card for his American debut.
Wow.
The Barclays Center, which will be huge for him. So he must win on Saturday. And then we're on a really big run. After Ben Whitaker, we're in Las Vegas for Jarrell Miller against Pero, eliminator for the world heavyweight title. Then the Wednesday, the week after, we're in Melbourne. Sky Nicholson headlines, Jake Wiley as well, our brilliant heavyweight Tera Moana. 3 days later, we're in Wolverhampton on May the 2nd for Conor Walker against Sam Eggington, which is sold out. Then we have a week off. Then the weekend after that is Dave Allen against Filip Hrgovic in the UK. Then the week after that, we're in Egypt, in the Pyramids for Usyk against Rico. And then May the 30th, we will announce a huge world championship fight in the US. And then the same night, Dimitri Bivol will fight as well. June the 6th will be Dalton Smith defending his world title against Puello. June the 13th will be the return of Bam Rodriguez, which we will announce this week. And June 27th, of course, the big one, Jaron Ennis against Xander Zayas. So a mad run coming up. And that's all wedged between, Ariel, Thursday and Friday, the 25th and 26th, the US Masters Darts at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yes. Which you know we love around these parts. That was incredible, by the way.
It's completely sold out now. We're going Thursday and Friday now.
Oh, I like that.
Because England are playing on the Saturday afternoon.
Brilliant.
And then Boots against Xander is that night, the 27th at Barclays.
Wow. Yeah, England's playing over at MetLife in golly, what a freaking weekend that is. That is tremendous stuff. You went through the whole list there. So Whitaker, if he wins this, gets to fight on that card, which is tremendous. And I saw the seating chart, tickets flying, correct?
Really going well. I think we're close to 10,000 now already. So
wow.
I think 16, 17,000. There's going to be a complete sellout at Barclays. Really, really happy. I mean, look, for me, this is the fight that turns Boots into a superstar. You know, Xander, you have to give him unbelievable credit. He's 23 years old. He's the unified world champion. He's fighting really like the bogeyman, whatever you want to call it, of the division. He deserves massive respect. You've got a huge Puerto Rican fan base. Got thousands coming from Philadelphia as well. For me, this is the fight of the year. And I'm really pleased to be holding it in New York. I love MSG. I like the Barclays Center for this one. You know, I think it's going to be a great little crowd, great atmosphere, and tickets are flying.
And this is just Top Rank, Matchroom, DAZN, no Sella involved, no ring, no anything.
Correct. Yeah. It's you know, we're doing a lot of business now with Top Rank, which is good. You know, this is the third fight we've done this year, and there's 2 more World Championship fights that we're negotiating for May and June. So it's working well. I think, you know, DAZN have been really smart bringing all these promoters together. You know, you've got every big name fighter locked in to DAZN, and you know that solidifies their position as the global home of boxing.
Incredible as always, Eddie. Sorry for keeping you up. Sorry for putting you on last.
Pleasure, mate.
But it was out of respect. Truly the best for last. Wanted to have some time to. It really was. It really was. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Congrats on today and all the great stuff coming up. We appreciate it as always.
Cheers. Take care.
There he is, Eddie Hearn, the head man over at Matchroom Boxing, and of course Matchroom and the Match.
Too loud. Inside the ring, baby.
Welcome back to Inside the Ring. Max, Cop, Shady, and we are joined now by Manny Pacquiao, who on my list, I know a little bit about boxing history, folks. Other than Sugar Ray Robinson, I think this is the greatest pound-for-pound fighter who ever lived. That's number 2 on the all-time list. The CEO of Manny Pacquiao Promotions, Jazz Mather. Guys, thanks for joining us. before we get to the Floyd Mayweather news, I know you wanted to touch on a recent business deal that you've entered with Team Boxing League. Can you tell us what that is? 9-figure deal, also makes Manny the owner, an active fighter of the San Diego TJs franchise. What is all this?
So we're taking, what we've basically done is we got involved in a sport. I mean, PBL is a team sport, right? So you're looking at men and women competing on the same team. Manny's going to have ownership in the San Diego TJs. It's a League of Destiny. So we help inspire, empower fighters and stuff. And we get them involved in this competitive, 12 different weight classes. And with Manny having ownership in that, it's a big thing. I mean, we've already been in business 4 years. They're looking to expand. Manny's going to be the first of many more people to join in this.
So what's your pitch? You got a pitch. Do you have a pitch? How do you pitch
That sounds very interesting, actually.
people to join this league?
I want to join. So how I pitch me? To be honest with you,
He wants to join. He wants to fight.
Look,
he's great at saying,
it's not.
If you're looking for someone to get in the ring and say, "This is your guy,"
Fighter economics. Okay. So different from traditional boxing, in TBL, the fighters actually have a piece on the upside on sponsorship participation, equity participation, revenue sharing from the actual fights, the gates, etc. So it's very, very, very different. You're not just limited to your purse. It's an NFL-like model. So it's, the teams own the league in the end, right? So you have access to growth. As the league grows, the team grows. And there's some very, very, very big guys and big funds that are involved behind this.
So now the rematch with Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
It was announced by Netflix, right, in February as a professional boxing match at the Sphere in Las Vegas. And then a few weeks ago, Floyd said it was an exhibition and that the Sphere was not guaranteed as the location. Let me ask you, Manny, when you first heard that Floyd said, no, it's not a professional fight, it's an exhibition, what were you thinking?
I called just right away. What happened? What happened? Like what? That's not what we signed. Like we signed a real fight. So and he gets his advance. Why he's announcing like this propaganda exhibition, that blah blah blah, everything like that. So just told me this. I don't have an idea. So it's.
Why do you think that he wants it to be an exhibition, even though he signed the contract? Floyd's signature is on this contract?
Floyd's signature is on multiple contracts.
And it says professional fight.
Professional fight.
Why do you think that Floyd is now saying, after he signed a contract for a professional fight, no, it's an exhibition? Why do you think? Do you have an opinion, a theory?
I think he's scared of losing. I mean, he's scared of losing because that's his, his leverage for, to go around and have exhibition because of his undefeated record. But if that record will ruin, then what else that he can leverage for to go around and have an exhibition match?
I mean, he could leverage what you do. You've lost fights because you fought everyone, right?
Yeah.
So you're still one of the greatest fighters who ever lived, and you can leverage the fact that you're Manny Pacquiao. But you think it means that much to him to be undefeated, that even though there's so much money on the line and he's already signed it, he now wants it to be an exhibition?
Then that's I always say that it doesn't matter if you're undefeated fighter and you are. Yeah. What I can say is like he's a self-proclaimed GOAT.
Right.
Self-proclaimed GOAT because.
That's actually not true. That's 50-0 proclaims it.
He cannot claim. He can't even claim in which part that he can claim that he's the only. He cannot claim that he's the only undefeated fighter who retired. There's a lot of fighters, at least more than 15 fighters who retired undefeated. So, but I can claim with some of those, the only 8 division and the only fighter who became a world champion in 4 decades, 4 different decades, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020. So, but I'm not raising my own chair. I let the fans decide.
Your chair high. Your chair is high already.
I mean,
that's it. And you came 1 point away from having a belt in the 2020s. Oh no, you already had a belt in the 2020s.
2020, yes.
Yeah. So, pardon me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
So that's 4 decades.
Yeah, that's pretty good. This is the back half of the decade, though. You almost, if you win a belt now, it's the second half of the 2020s.
Yeah, but Manny, look, you came out and said that you're not interested in doing a fight with Mayweather if it's not indeed a fight. It's an exhibition. And I'm with you. And the other fans are with you too. I don't want to see this again as an exhibition. The exhibitions are played out.
Right.
You want to see a fight. You want to see Mayweather risk his O. And we saw how good you looked against Barrios.
Yeah.
What is the next step here to make Mayweather honor his word and honor his contract?
Well, for me, he cannot get out for this contract because a lot of consequences that are going to face if he don't fight this, if he fulfill this commitment.
But I want to ask you this though, right? Because all the fans in the world, when you say Pacquiao versus Floyd, everybody wants to see it. That's why Netflix got involved.
Yes.
And if it doesn't happen as a pro fight, all that money being involved, you're not going to say we ain't fighting because of that, right?
Yes.
Netflix doesn't want to be involved in that. We don't want that to happen. Look, Floyd cares about money. And all that Floyd needs to see is, whoever is managing or representing Floyd today, I personally,
Hard to keep track.
it's hard to keep track. I don't know what's going on over there.
Floyd himself.
There.
Have you been in negotiations over the past week since Floyd started backtracking?
The attorneys are.
So you not and who are
directly.
they? They're dealing with Floyd's attorneys, not Floyd. Correct?
Correct. We're dealing with attorneys. I mean, he's communicating with some of the other the production partners and such. There is direct conversation and stuff happening, but they just have to see the light as to the platform and the size of what Netflix is and what all opportunities it can bring.
So, Jazz, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is the deadline? Obviously, Netflix already announced that you have to. What is the hard deadline to get this resolved?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, what time?
14. End of business day.
End of business tomorrow.
Yeah. And we're getting ahead. We're getting ahead. As long as he's got smart people around him that can see the size of the opportunity, then they can make him a lot of money. More money than he's made in the last 5 years.
So, from understanding correctly, if it's not going to resolve to your liking and Manny's liking by tomorrow, and Netflix is liking, then legal proceedings will begin.
I guess. Look, that's not directly in our hands or in my hands to speak on. There's many parties involved, but all I can say is we are making headway on it. There is a contract in place, and I think better sense will prevail here. We hope it will.
If that doesn't happen, though, because that's the biggest fight that everybody wants to see.
Correct.
I don't think it gets canceled.
Correct.
And that doesn't happen, then what? Because when you got Netflix involved,
I mean, listen, we have, when I first brought this up to Manny and we started talking about it, he shared some concerns with me about this, and obviously me having been on that side for a long time as well with Floyd. I know how that operation works. So going into this, like I advise, I told everyone in advance, like we're going to run into problems. We're going to have roadblocks. We're going to need to pivot. But we have some different plans in place. So
Manny is an active, pretty active, for his age, active prize fighter who just fought Mario Barrios not long ago to a draw. He came a point away from actually collecting another belt. Floyd's exact words. So he has options professionally. Floyd's exact words were, quote, "It's an exhibition, so we're both winners. We just want to go out there, entertain the people, put on a good show." When he said that from where I was sitting, he kind of gave away the fact that he really doesn't want to risk the record, right? That kind of gives it away. How do you feel about that? You're a respectful guy, but as a fighter, how do you feel about that position he's taken?
Well, what I saw is like, I think he's scared. He's scared. He's scared of his record. PFO. We don't want to win that record because, like I said, that's his the leverage to go around. And
But how did you feel toward it? Did you respect it? Did you not respect it? As a fighter, how did you feel?
As a fighter, I'm a fighter, and I respect everyone. I mean, opinion. I respect everyone's decision. But I hope that, and on that decision, announcement of Floyd whether he will, what he signed is a real fight. So he should fulfill his commitment.
Have you seen any of Floyd's exhibitions that he's fought through the years? Did you watch any of them?
No.
Okay. I was wondering what you thought as a scout of how Floyd looked.
To me, this sounds like this comes down to what does Floyd value more, money
Can't
or
scout
his
from
own, right?
exhibitions.
And Manny, look, obviously it didn't go your way
The money comes from it though, so I would say he values the O more because the money comes from that.
When you fought Floyd in 2015, still the biggest fight in boxing history, business-wise, shattered all the records, everything you accomplished. Max saying that you're number 2 pound for pound ever.
Right.
If you do beat Floyd, where would that rank for you in terms of your accomplishments, even at this age?
At this age?
Yeah, wait, how would this rank as far as accomplishments? If you
Of
do
all the
beat
things
Floyd?
you've done in your career, the fights with Barrera, Morales, Ledwaba, Margarito, Mosley,
Keith
Cotto,
Thurman at that age.
Hatton,
Yeah.
like where would this rank?
This is the most important fight in my career because a lot of people like, you know, who is the greatest, who is the like the blah blah blah, who's the winner like that. Because Floyd Mayweather is like running around, and he won the fight.
I do want to ask you this though: when you guys were both at your prime, right, and we waited the 5 years till you guys fought, why didn't you guys fight in that period where you were the man, he was the man? Because I'm a boxing fan. You one of my favorites. I need to know so when I can tell my kids why y'all both didn't fight at your prime of your career.
You know what? Because that was way back as Floyd is my fan, one of my fans.
He was one of your biggest fans? Yeah, like in other words, Floyd didn't want to take the risk at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Jazz, you said that Floyd already took an advance on his purse, right?
He did.
Okay. How significant is that number? And then it was reported, I don't know if it's true or not, it was reported that he also used the contract as collateral to take another loan?
There's one loan.
Okay.
Right. So it's there's I mean, there's so many things that go around, right? There's one loan, but yeah, the contracts are for that loan. The contract is collateralized, like that Mike Tyson exhibition contract that he has. It is collateralized against that loan. You know, I mean, that's the lender's underwriting process.
So this is inside baseball or boxing contracts, as it were. But what are next steps? Like, if he's already taken an advance from Netflix, or the loan is used as collateral, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how it gets pretty complicated. What's the recourse?
Get the right advisors around you.
No, I mean, if he digs in his heels and he doesn't have the right, what is your remedy? Like, do you guys have a way to remedy the situation?
I mean, look, our remedy is strictly legal in what we're doing, right? We're taking the approach, and you can't control a person's actions, right? Like he's going to sit and sign documents, go out tomorrow and say it's an exhibition and confuse everybody, right? It's not a fact. But what can we do if he just chooses to sit at home and not go and step in the ring, even on fight night? I mean, there's a limit to how far anybody can control a situation. All we can do is be proactive on our side, think far ahead, be 10 steps ahead, figure out, hey, if this doesn't work, how do we pivot? How do we re-strategize? How do we get to the goal that we're looking for?
Isn't it difficult though if he declares bankruptcy or whatever, whatever, and
it's not that simple.
And you are entitled to some damages, one would suppose. So would Netflix, maybe. What do you do about it if the guy doesn't have the money to get, how can you force his hand? Couldn't he use that as leverage to get you guys to accept the idea that it wouldn't be a professional fight?
Floyd is way too prideful to even think of doing something like that. When it comes to when you say things like that, right? Related to doing certain things regarding his personal finances or things like that. He's way too prideful for that. You understand? His whole image is based around money.
It's his nickname, right?
That's his nickname. Money Mayweather.
He could sell that as a business
my thing
maneuver,
is,
I bet you.
There's always a lot of rumors of other fighters other than Floyd that had money. I don't want to talk about that, right? That's just what I'm here to talk about is this. You got Netflix at the door, right?
Yes.
Pacquiao, Floyd, they're not going to make nowhere near that money if they fight other fighters.
Right.
So now we're here at this table, right? Are we really going to let that little wordage of this old guard? One second. My thing is, it's about the paper. And he want to make a lot of money like Floyd making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So my thing is, are we going to stop that from you signing that money and getting that paper?
We're not stopping it, and we're not interested in an exhibition. We're not interested in it. Netflix is not interested in it, and he knows that no one's interested in it. He's tried. They've tried to turn this thing around. Some people have advised him that
Shady's trying to protect.
Floyd. I'm not little wordage. That's why
Pacquiao, my man, and Floyd. I know that.
No, brother. For sure. No. I'm not saying. I'm saying you like the undefeated.
What I'm saying is,
Pacquiao is one of his favorite fighters.
Yeah, I'm an athlete. I played for money. So what I'm saying is, There's no other opponent out there that he's gonna make the money he's gonna make for Floyd, and Floyd's not gonna make the money he wants to make without Pacquiao.
Shady is pointing to
That's trying to get that paper.
the point of negotiation and leverage and who's going to blink first. There's a lot of money on the table.
It's not even a matter about blinking first because Floyd already signed a contract for a real fight.
Ostensibly more if it's a professional fight. And the suggestion is you guys might blink before Floyd.
We're not blinking. We're not blinking. This ain't a listen. I am by far the worst person on the planet to play chicken with. So we're not blinking. These are the contracts. They're signed. It's a done deal. Simple as that. He signed the contracts. He got paid advances against all the contracts. He got a loan. He's notarized the loan docs. He made
Did you guys get any advances?
Come on.
Did you guys get any advances?
Of course, Manny got his advance.
Okay.
And like you said, to me, the most
you can't take a contract, have it announced by Netflix, authorize your people to go and post Netflix and follow them, and they don't do it on Instagram, right? We have all those.
So
messages.
if the fight's off, he's not responsible for his advance because he honored the contract to his ability. But Floyd is, or is he responsible for his advance?
As of right now, he's not responsible.
Got it.
But we also looking to enter a proper partnership deal with Everwonder, with Netflix. Like we're doing good by them.
You want to be good
understand?
partner.
Like, yeah, we're doing good business.
We have more. Jazz, thank you for your time because coming up, Manny, you're sticking around. We got you. Your guy's not here to help you. We got you all ourselves.
Close the doors.
More with Manny Pacquiao. This is Inside the Ring.
Did they kick him out or was he actually leaving?
I've been promoting boxing for 60 years. I've had the privilege of working with some of the greatest boxers the sport has ever seen.
Two of the very best in the world doing battle here.
I've seen it all. I've done it all. But this isn't the end of an era. This is the beginning of a new era. Top Rank is now on the zone, the global home of boxing.
Welcome back to Inside the Ring. Max, Malik, Cop, Shady, Manny Pacquiao. Manny just said something before we get anything else, because I always wonder about this. The guy who everyone's looking for the next so-and-so, right? The next Manny Pacquiao. And the guy who's come closest to me is Inoue, the monster.
Inoue.
And you just asked me about Inoue. Are you a big fan of Inoue's?
Yeah, I like him. I like the way he fights.
Is he the closest thing to you? I'm not saying he's as great as you, but is he the closest thing to Pacquiao that we have in the game right now?
Oh yeah, I can say that. Closest to me, because when he started, I went to Japan, and then he asked me about what the proper punches and techniques like that.
Well, he learned it well.
Yes,
because he's been giving them the proper punching techniques.
Well, I told him that
Those four divisions.
The most important in boxing is footwork. When you have footwork, then you can do a lot of things.
Right. Is that what Freddie gave you when you got to wild card? Did that take your game to the next level, the footwork?
The footwork is the best.
Because before Freddie, you were in and out. And then with Freddie, you started giving him more angles,
side
right?
By side,
By side. And then it was bad enough when it was just in and out with Manny. Once he started giving him angles, it was a problem. Manny, you spent 3.5 years away from professional boxing before returning in July with a draw against Mario Barrios, who is 16 years younger than you. After that fight, how much did you feel like the old Pacquiao was still in there?
After that fight, I can say, I'm only training 2 months training on that fight. Supposedly, at least minimum three months or 3.5 months, 4 months the most. But just 2 months in 2 months preparation and my condition and my speed is like that. So I can do more. Like I can do more than that. The various fights. So I can still feel like I can still fight. I'm strong because I'm so disciplined person. Like the way I eat, the way everything like that.
Was there any time in the fight where you saw an opening and you were like, if I was 10 years younger, I would have hit him right there. Yeah, right.
You know, I'm thinking.
That's why I asked.
I mean, in my top 5, I got Ali, I got Chu Pacquiao, I got Roy Jones, I got Bud Crawford now, and obviously Floyd Mayweather. Can you give us your top 5 of all time?
How about Sugar Ray Leonard? Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sure, he was great. This is my top 5, man.
Mine is including me like Muhammad Ali.
For sure.
Me and Sugar Ray Leonard, Julio Cesar Chavez.
Killer.
Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yes.
In his prime, believe me, he's
Like that.
he's very
So
good
I'm saying I love Chavez, but if you have Chavez, you have to have Pernell Whitaker in there because he beat Chavez. Right?
Almost.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the judges. Yeah, almost. Yeah.
He loves Pernell Whitaker. That's his guy.
Last thing,
No, that was Meldrick Taylor. I mean Pernell.
Oh, Pernell.
Pernell.
Oh, yeah.
He got the draw, but he won the fight.
Yeah.
He won the fight. Yeah.
You got the draw.
You think Manny Pacquiao is English would be better than this?
Chavez was people. This generation doesn't know. Chavez, the daddy, was a killer.
Yes.
A killer.
A technician that came forward the right way.
You know that Taylor fight, like
the Meldrick, sure, of course, yeah. You love fights like that. Yeah.
2 seconds down.
So Bernard Hopkins has publicly warned about older fighters taking on, top guys, because when you're older, you're fighting your opponent, you're fighting father time, right? So how do you feel about that, fighting the younger guys? Now, let's say the Floyd fight doesn't happen.
This is what I discovered in boxing, because I always as a fighter I always mix science. As being a fighter, mix science into mix science in sports like that. So how to get in the rhythm, like when you were young, like that. So this is what I discovered, because at the age of 30 plus, 40 plus, and your metabolism is become slower. So meaning to say, your recovery is not that easy compared before when you were young.
That's true.
So what I discover right now is you're getting slower if you don't handle it. But there's a way that you can stay in fit, stay in shape and speed. So you can get that as long as you taking. Oh, that would be different than August fight. But on August fight, we did a routine that we not usually do it before the fight. So that's what happened to me. I got cramping 2 legs like that, because before the fight we do the machine, the massage like that. And in the fight, like I'm cramping like tight. I cannot move. Like the first time in my career. We're doing that.
Could you imagine being over 40 years old and wanting to fight Errol Spence? What's the matter with you? What's wrong with you? You're going to fight Errol Spence when you're over 40 years old? Spence was a killer. He was young. He was in his prime. He's tall. He's rangy. He's a southpaw. Why would you want to fight Errol Spence at that age?
Of course, I want to fight him because I know I can easily beat him.
How would you have beaten him?
The speed. Boxing is not about your strength. It's not about your how you strong to punch. It's about ability, skills in the ring, like how you move, how you. That's boxing. That's sports. That's the secret of being an 8 different with division.
That's right. Yes.
To be a champion in 8 different division is not that easy that we can think of. Like you have to go through a lot of things to consider it. Like even the smallest, like moving around. It's not boxing. It's not just about I'm strong, but yeah, you're strong, but
it's more than
how
that.
can you
People think-
hit your opponent?
People think of Manny Pacquiao as one of the great phenomenon in terms of speed and power, right? But Floyd Mayweather has always said, in terms of thinking, that Pacquiao was his smartest opponent. Was the hardest fight for him mentally because of how you think about boxing. That's what Floyd said about you.
And I heard Max just say something to you, and y'all was talking about when you got with Freddie Roach, how your footwork changed for the better. One thing I always admired about you, man, it was your loyalty. Nowadays, fighters get with trainers, and when things don't go their way, the first thing they do is they go bail south and go try to find the answer from somewhere else. Something that you've always done with Freddie Roach was stay loyal regardless of your ups and downs. What was the bond that always kept you and Freddie so tight, where no matter what happened, you stayed?
Tell him the secret, because he wants to hold on to all his fighters.
right.
No, it's about relationship. You know how you get connected and have relationship to your team. It's about like that. And during training, it's up to the fighter how to push themselves. It's up to them. Even you have a best trainer, good trainer. If the fighter is lazy, don't push something.
Right.
You have to
basically saying you can't babysit your fighter.
you
can't want it for him. The fighter has to want it.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
he brought up Errol Spence.
In our team with Freddie, usually the trainer will push you to do extra round, but in our situation, they're watching me to stop.
Right.
To stop.
Don't overtrain.
Yes. Don't overtrain. To stop.
Overdo
And we come to the point that of the time because I don't stop.
You don't get to be Manny Pacquiao in any walk of life by being lazy. Right. Hey, hold on, no more questions. No, we have to get to the game.
I just want to.
Are the producers in there? Does this thing work for you?
Our coach is mad at me. See how the coach is mad at me now? See?
Before we let you go, the reason I'm cutting Shady off, I'm sure he had a fantastic question. We want to play a game with you, okay? Where we name a fight between someone you fought, because you fought everybody.
Yes, he did.
And then a current fighter. Now, when I say the name of the guy you fought Shane Mosley, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to take you fought an old Shane Mosley. You can make him in his prime, okay? Take Shane Mosley and put him in against the guy we're going to say, okay? So you tell us how the old fighters would do against these young fighters. We're calling it Pacquiao Pick'em. Here we go, the first one. What would happen if Antonio Margarito fought Devin Haney? You fought and beat Margarito. Eat him up.
Devin Haney will beat Margarito.
Why?
Speed has a power.
By the way,
okay, Debo.
See how a lot of guys, the older fighters, will always say the guy he fought was better than the new guy. Pacquiao will shoot you straight.
Yeah, I thought that was a great answer.
Okay. Yes. How about Oscar De La Hoya versus Ryan Garcia?
Oscar De La Hoya is fine.
Yeah. Oscar De La
That's
Hoya
an
is
easy
fine.
one.
Yes,
Pretty damn good. Just about as good as it ever got, right? How about this one? Floyd Mayweather against Terrence Crawford.
Floyd Mayweather against Terrence Crawford. I think
Give me Terrence.
Terrence Crawford.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
In both prime. Like,
Both the prime. You think Crawford is? Why do you like Crawford?
He has advantage. He is a southpaw.
Right. By the way, a switch hitter.
I agree. I think Bud beats Floyd.
Man, he keeps it simple.
I think Bud gets that one for sure.
That's a really good point.
I saw Crawford as a southpaw. He mastered it. Like he know how to handle his advantage. He to maximize his advantage against orthodox.
And then how about Floyd against whoever that's supposed to be? Oh, that's supposed to be Terrence Crawford? Never mind. All right. Juan Manuel Marquez against Inoue. Inoue beats Marquez.
No hesitation.
Yes.
No hesitation.
Wow. That's to
because
me,
Inoue can go around and counter Marquez.
What is really interesting to me about you, Manny, is a lot of times if you talk to a fighter in your position who had a rival, who he won some against, he lost some against, but they were like an even kind of match. You're not going to say the new guy beats your rival because it's almost like saying you're picking the new guy over you. But you're being honest. You just think Inoue has the right style to beat Marquez.
Yes, because Inoue is a good counter puncher. Marquez, his style is if you are a counter puncher, then you can beat.
Right, but you were aggressive. That's why your styles matched up so well.
Exactly, because I'm a fighter that I don't like, waiting. I
You
don't
ready to fight.
I don't want the fans to disappoint, like waiting each other like that. So I don't want to hear from the fans say boo 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 like that. I don't like that.
We gotta call Manny for all the new pick.
Manny keeps it.
Your manager. The next fight, I'm calling for the pick.
Okay, how about Shane Mosley against Shakur Stevenson?
Shakur Stevenson and Mosley in his prime.
Yeah, both in
I
prime.
will Mosley.
Mosley, why Mosley?
Mosley is a speed and has a combination like that in his prime.
Okay.
So he can move.
That's Twitch.
Manny,
God dang it.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. Okay, I'm with you. I like maybe Shakur in his prime, but let me ask you this. Based on Manny's other answers, the fact that he's picking Mosley makes you think twice about it, doesn't it?
That's true.
Right?
He's been fair. He's been
totally fair. So I got to stop and think, wait, am I missing something?
If you watch Mosley's his prime, in his prime, like it's very good.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yes, one of the best.
It's hard to hit. It's hard to hit, and he can move around
Shane Mosley against Oscar De La Hoya, their first fight at welterweight. That's about as good as boxing gets.
Yeah, that's true.
I saw that fight.
Great fight, right? The great Manny Pacquiao.
Yes.
I'm here to tell you, if it wasn't for Sugar Ray Robinson, that'd be the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in the history of boxing. Yes. We appreciate you coming on, Manny. Always good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Great to see
But
you.
don't leave yet. I gotta get my selfie. We gotta talk the selfie.
I don't know, man.
I gotta get my selfie.
We have a show to do. All right. Coming up, our foreman over here caught up with Tyson Fury and Conor.
I don't know what it is. We're gonna continue from yesterday. Eddie Hearn's interview.
He's going to fight for the Zuffa belt, which is like literally the same value as your laces, no shoes. And then, but Edgar's different. Edgar's not really, I don't think, going to go and win world championships and unify the division. But if he can make money, do it. And I think it's a good move for him.
How do you gauge a fighter's value? Like somebody like Hitchens, right? Like how do you gauge it? Because you're like
very, very simple.
Yeah.
Bums on seats in the venue.
Yeah.
And eyeballs on the screen. That's it.
That's what it boils down to for you personally, not the business, not the underlying guy.
No, that's the model. No, that's the same for Frank Smith. Okay. Or Frank Smith, because that's your revenue generator. Because if you don't sell tickets, you're not bringing a revenue to the show. If you don't draw eyeballs, the zone are going to say this guy doesn't deliver value for us, and that's the problem that we've had with Richardson, but a lot of fighters as well. You know, like the reality is but everyone's different. You've got Edgar, who sells more tickets than Richardson, but probably isn't as talented. But Richardson that sells no tickets, but he's very talented.
Yeah.
So you can't just we have to do our job of trying. That's why I got him the Cambosis fight at MSG. I paid up for the rental of the theatre, which is a fortune.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to try and build him to try and turn the corner of becoming a star. You know what I mean? But it's definitely not.
So you're willing to take a loss to try to.
We did, yeah, we did. But we might at that time. I mean, Keith Connolly messed up bad because he got offered a brilliant deal from us like a year ago, but they messed it up, and then they ended up getting half of that.
You say messed it up, does that just mean over negotiating? Like you're over?
Yeah, it's greedy. Like, you know, but you got to push for your fighter. So, but you've also got to know a great deal when you see one.
Yeah.
And then they ended up getting half of that to fight Duarte, which obviously pulled out of the day before. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But I hope, listen, you become toxified by the business and the sport sometimes. But he actually has a good heart. Like he's a good kid.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, I always laugh when you go on Instagram stories. He's like that.
He's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, and he's got like the Mercedes badge on his car. It's like, but listen, good luck to him. Good luck.
I mean, listen, the boxing business is a nasty one. I mean, we watched it play out with you and Conor Benn, obviously. He did an interview yesterday where he said, he said he didn't regret his decision, but he also was like, I got love for Eddie. I didn't, there's no hate in my heart for Eddie here. I mean, do you look at it like it was just a business decision that he could have done better? Or
business is decision.
It's all business decisions. What kind of question is that?
Decisions are fine. Like, there's nothing. The argument of this is, well, I had to do what was right for my family.
Yeah.
Cool. I would always want that for you as my friend. But you don't think that after everything I did for you, which was save your career, which was make you, I don't know, 20 million, which was bring you back from the lowest depths of reputational damage and stand by your side and fight for you every inch of the way, that I deserve for your lawyer to write me an email to say, here's an offer we've had, match it.
Yeah.
Like, and then when I text you and say, hey, let's have a chat. Like, I feel like, you know, we've done a lot for you, to get a reply to say, no, like, deal with my lawyer, and once it's all over, I just thought, wow. But that just goes.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is exactly how the promoters play games. The reason they want relationships with these fighters, so when those messages do come from the lawyer with the 15 million and all these millions and whatnot, they can make that call to you and be like, yo, let's talk. This, and that. I've done a lot for you. This, yeah, that's the past money. I need to get it now. And he's sitting there acting like he doesn't understand how the game operates. Everybody's running their own independent contracted business. Like, you have the money for him, or do you not? Yes, we friends. This is why sometimes you really shouldn't do business with your friends because of reasons like this. And he's talking about how he felt. This and that. This is not a game of feelings. Feelings get you hurt in boxing. So it's frustrating to see a business, quote unquote, mogul like Eddie Hearn say something as foolish as that. Like, your relationship doesn't matter when the bigger checks come. Like, you can still be friends after if you're his friend. If he was really his friend, he'd be happy. He's making all this money at the end of the day.
To show the man.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different people. Let's take Anthony Joshua. If someone approached Anthony Joshua and said, listen, I've got a massive deal for you, right? Don't tell Eddie.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. The first thing he would say was, speak to Eddie. He wouldn't even go, go on then.
What's relevant? Why is it relevant what another man's decision would be as opposed to somebody that's trying to make more money? His decision would be. If Anthony Joshua did it, that's cool on him. He's loyal to you. That's good for him. He may not need money like Conor Benn needs money.
Number. Right. You go, Eddie's my guy. Speak to him. Done.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you did say, all right, let me know. If you wanted to go down there and find out the number, I don't hold that against you.
Mm-hmm.
But then what you do is you phone me up and you go, just to let you know, these people are called. They've offered me 15 million.
Yeah.
Right? And I go, they've offered you 15 million for a 10-rounder against Reezy program.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay, well, listen, firstly, seems like Turkey might be involved, whatever. Let me go and see if that exists.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, I think you might have to take that deal.
Right.
That's how it would have played out.
Right.
And just like I said to you before about Canelo, about Turkey, as long as you know where you stand and people are up front with you, can look you in the eye and say, listen, mate, whether you think this is right or wrong, this is what I've got to do.
Yeah, I got
you
that.
go, no problem. And I'd say to him, I'm so happy.
He's basically saying he understands why he did it, but he's still mad.
You know, I'm disappointed we're not involved, but, you know, maybe we can be involved. Maybe we can, you know, help structure the deal, whatever.
Yeah.
But what he chose to be was greedy. Cut me out, not have the
Him getting the offer from himself is greedy?
balls, really. That's the thing. Do you know what I mean? Because what
Yeah.
you've actually shown is your weakness as a man. And I heard his dad, you know, his dad was disappointed. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. But his dad has also got a back. Conor, you can't, you know. But also at the same time, I don't think there's anybody who has an ounce of common sense or respect or, you know, pride or goodness in the heart that doesn't agree that how can you not even speak to the guy?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We never fell out.
Yeah.
We were he leaned on me at all times. I lent him, you know, this is a
He
thing.
says you didn't lend him.
And he'll be apologising in public because he'll also, legally, he's got a problem. Because when he said that, he said, no, he never lent me a cent. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Firstly, I lent you $500,000 to buy a house. And then secondly, I lent you nearly another $500,000 to buy a car, which you never paid me back.
Why would you lend another man money to buy a vehicle?
For 3 years with no interest until I said, when you're good, we'll deal with it then.
So that's the game right there. He puts the down payment early on, and he knows he could bring back up later when the bigger offer comes. He always knew the bigger offer was coming. He's just mad that Conor took it.
Yeah. then he said, no. What actually I meant was he never lent me money for my legal fees. So he wanted me to lend him money to defend the 2 drug tests we did.
Yeah.
And I was like, didn't we? Oh. And then my team come back and went, yeah, we did. And what made it worse for me after that was I realised that I lent him the money for the legal fees and I never even asked for it back. And he still lied in the interview.
Wow.
And I said to him, look, I'm not trying to be like a pussy here.
Yeah.
But you can't say that when you know I did. So he's going to have to apologise for that, which he will. He'll make a public statement. But I don't want any bit. But you can't sit there and say all these things that are just completely untrue.
Let's see if Conor Benn makes his public statement. Eddie Hearn to speak with the confidence.
Yeah, but again, I'm not like, that's not something that I'll make a habit of. I've done it a few times where I say, you just can't. Like if I'm telling you what I did, and he comes out and says, no, he never, and it's a straight lie.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sit there and go, you can't make people question what I'm saying when I've got no reason to lie.
Yeah.
But he's a bit mad. Like he's a very emotional kid. It won't be easy for him, this whole thing, because he doesn't like negative. Like he doesn't like people criticising him. And there's been he'll get booed out of the stadium on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like,
I've heard a lot of people are against, UK fans.
Yeah, big time. But do you know what? That's infuriating because I worked for years to turn it around for him. And he actually, after the Eubank fight, was a very popular fighter.
I was there for a second.
Yeah, and now you'll see on Saturday. But yeah, he'll get booed out of the stadium.
Would you consider working with him again? Like they said,
It's
it's a
very
one-fight
difficult.
deal.
Yeah, it's not. It's all bullshit anyway. Like and by the way, there's a legal problem on that as well because you dress it up in a way so that it can't be matched. Whereas the underlying truth is, do you think that there's been no conversation between Keith Connolly and Zuffa about a longer-term deal? Or is it stupid? There's something called disclosure, which is great and stuff like that. You get to see it when you want.
Yeah.
It did come out after the fight that it was just a 1-fight deal, and they're looking for other options right now. So we'll see if that holds up. Who's lying?
And we'll make sure that we weren't lied to, which I have my doubts.
Yeah.
But
if he came to you like, listen, Eddie, you know what? Let's just say it was a 1-fight deal.
It'd be very difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's like, firstly, you need the conversation on. Like, honestly, this is one of those things where I'm renowned for letting things slide and moving on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually one of my dad will say to me all the time, how the fuck did you play? Didn't that guy like, I'm like,
Barry
yeah,
not
but you know
playing
what?
that?
No, Barry's like, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. He's old school.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, don't ever show your face around here again.
Right.
For life, to the grave.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I like that.
But I'm not. I'm like, listen, it's I care, but people can change, people can get bad advice, but this is a weird one. It's like, I'm getting angrier.
Right.
Because I'm watching his interviews, I'm like, what the fuck? I feel like I've been played. Do you know what I mean? I'm listening to him going, what are you, a compulsive liar or something?
Yeah.
Like, I've had you in my office on your knees in tears. Like, and I've actually gone to the depths, even myself. Like, you may know, like, I went for a couple of years of heavy stick.
Oh, I
remember. Like, I was getting battered, and I was like, no, fuck you. I believe in this kid. I'm standing by, and it was like,
when they said the eggs, they was killing
no, of course, yeah, but it was like, no. And then I'm listening to this back, I'm like, what was it, a bluff? Like, what? So it's actually making me more angry.
Yeah.
And the fact is he's never tried to say, listen, can we have a chat? Can we have a meet up? But honestly, if he did now, I'm not even sure what I'd do. But ordinarily, I'd go, yeah, cool.
What would y'all do? You taking the 15 million, or you trying to meet up with him and hear what he got to say? I know my answer.
Like, we'll have a chat, but I don't know. It's a weird one.
I wanted to ask you about the Dana thing, because you said you guys are managing the UFC fighters now. Obviously, you got Tom Aspinall with the first signing. I kind of liked it when you did it. Like, it kind of, it showed you got some balls.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
you pulled the Conor, you pulled your move. For you, was that something you were already looking into, or was it like, I got a match, we got a match?
Yeah, as a group, I think we have massive potential as a management agency. We don't want to manage boxers because it's a conflict of interest. And obviously, you can't in the US because of the Muhammad Ali Act anyway. Another thing they're trying to get abolished.
Yeah.
So we've been looking at an agency for some time, and then obviously this happened, and then Tom Aspinall's dad reached out to me. He's like, look, you know, got a few problems. Would you ever think about representing? And I was like, wow, this is cool. So Eddie signs the UFC undisputed heavyweight champ. Yeah. And it allows me to look at their business, look at the contracts. And of course, you know, from a profile perspective, a noise perspective, it was interesting. But I also believe I can do a great job for Tom. And we're doing that already.
Yeah.
And it's frightening what I see when I open up those contracts. You know, like, I mean, we live in a world in boxing where, and good luck to them, but fighters are drastically overpaid in terms of the revenue in the pot.
Yeah.
Right? In UFC, they're drastically underpaid in terms of the revenue in the pot. But like literally, Tom Aspinall, who is one of the biggest names in UFC, is the heavyweight undisputed champion. Like, you've got guys who are opening up the broadcast on shows that most people have never ever heard of that are making more money than Tom Aspinall. And it's like, I can't believe it. By the way, congratulations, UFC. What a business.
Yeah.
That ain't fair.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not fair. Like, and Tom Aspinall comes out of a bout, gets 2 of his eyes gouged out. He's had 3 operations on his eyes or 4 operations on his eyes. For what? Like, now he's got a rematch Pereira or game. Like, it's not even really, for the money he's supposed to be getting, it's not even really worth it. By the time you pay your taxes and your team,
Yeah.
what, to go back in there and lose your sight or something like that? Like, you've got to be fair. There's 80 million in the pot. Don't be giving my guy $1 million. Main event.
Yeah.
You know?
I see. Tell me about this. We just had the Wilder Chisora fight. It was a good, like, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the old guys. It felt like 2 of my uncles, like, rumbling in the backyard. It didn't feel like a boxing match. But you know, there was the one clip where you guys are standing on the side, you and AJ. He walks right by you, doesn't look at you, no one says anything, but you can feel the tension.
Oh, yeah,
like, in
for
the
sure,
clip.
yeah.
It's like a thing. What did you make of that moment? Like, it was
Great. Like, I mean, it's like, we need that. Right? And that was the thing with Wilder and Chisora is, yeah, I mean, I was 6 feet away. It wasn't the sweet science, but it was gripping. It was thrilling. It was like, you know, and obviously AJ was there screaming and shouting because he loves Derek. And, you know, I never really, you know what, through the whole fight, I never really even thought about AJ v. Wilder. And then when we were standing on the ring walk area and he was walking down, it's quite a famous scene there, I was like, oh, fuck, like this. He came down and he's like, let's do it. And AJ just sort of went, but everyone around was like, whoa. Like, I started thinking to myself, this is a big fight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look, they're both, like, AJ's definitely in the back end of his career. Wilder's definitely in the back end of his career. You know, I said yesterday, I think some of the...
Seems like a no-brainer to me.
We're going to fight before we fight Tyson Fury, right?
Yeah.
And we're looking to fight Tyson Fury. We'll see what happens at the weekend, but probably around November time. So we're going to fight around July. I said yesterday, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but we'll take Wilder as our warm-up in July.
Yeah.
When you imagine AJ went Wilder and Fury straight off the bat in 2026, especially after everything that's happened. Absolutely. You know, like, I think, and listen, Wilder will always be dangerous, but I just think AJ flattens.
Why did it not happen before? Because I interviewed Wilder in December.
Don't forget that everybody signed for that fight.
Yeah.
And the night that he lost to Joseph Parker, we were getting in the ring, doing a face-off, and announcing the fight.
Yeah.
Right? So it was done.
So if he would have won that would have happened.
Done. Both guys had signed.
I'm saying, so look, I interviewed him in December. It went viral, but there was a time he said, I offered them, my people sent the offer for $50 million. And he said, I think Joshua wanted it, and Eddie was the one that turned it down.
What he did was, he sent an email from Deontay.wilder@gmail.com. Swear truth, right? Might have been a Yahoo account, right? But from his own personal account, saying, hello, Eddie, Anthony, whatever, I would like to offer $50 million for you to fight me. That was it, right?
Yeah.
So I reply, and I go, thank you, but could you tell me, like, could we get a contract?
Yeah.
Who's paying the money? What's the details? Blah, blah, blah. And they come back to me and they said, you have to confirm you accept the fight before we give you that information or send you a contract. I'm like, what is this? This is like, so I said, no, send the contract and we'll, and that was it. For me, it was always a game to say, well, we offered them 50 and they turned it down. It's like, all we did was ask for a contract. I never replied saying no. I just said, where's the money?
Yeah.
Like, I can't take, is this even Deontay Wilder? I don't know. Could be some guy, next thing I've got to pay a 20 grand deposit into an account to get the contract. I don't know, is it?
Right.
So that was what happened. But back in those days, it was wild because then Al Heyman, John Skipper from DAZN, I think Lou DiBella, whoever it was at the time, they all had a meeting. And then Wilder got offered something crazy like 40 million, 60 million, like a multi-fight deal. And they turned it down. And Al turned it down. And it was like, I've got to be honest, like there was a lot of bad feeling at that time between AJ Wilder, me, Al. Like I had a meeting in New York with Al to talk about the fight.
Was you and Al?
Yeah, me, Al, and Shelley.
Yeah.
And he weren't out. You know what I mean? Because I was like, and I'm still trappy, but not as trappy as I used to be.
Yeah.
And he don't like me, or he didn't like me then. Because I met him previously when he wanted to do the Chavez Froch fight, and he was all over me. He was very pleasant. When I met him this time, he didn't even want to look me in the eye. I thought, this fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's what happened. But I think everyone's matured. I mean, Wilder's matured. You can tell that he's like, yeah, of course. And I have as well. So now I'm like, whatever, let's just make the fight. Whereas back then it's like, fuck you. No, fuck you. No, all right, we're not doing it.
Right.
Which is, not good, really.
How does it get for you to be that close with AJ? Like you building friendship with the clients in that way? Because I feel like, I would say it's like a dangerous game, but right, like how the kind of thing.
But I want that because I want to be emotionally invested in the journey. That's the enjoyable part, right? I don't want it to be a job. I don't want to just worry about it. I want to see you achieve your dreams, make a load of money. But I want a small, not just a percentage of the money, but a percentage of the emotion. Now, my dad always said to me, if you can get 1% of the adrenaline that a fighter gets when they walk to the ring, you're very lucky. I feel like I get 50% of that adrenaline sometimes. Yeah. Actually, today is a 10-year
That's an excellent quote. I'm taking that one down.
Anniversary when Anthony Joshua won the world heavyweight title.
Oh, wow.
And I look back, I've been working for him now for coming up to
I should tell you first about the genesis of this theory, I suppose is the right way of putting it. When I was about your age, and that was back in the early 80s or thereabouts, and this was particularly true around 1984, but it was true before that too. You know, every generation has its worries, real or imagined, and the primary worry for people of my generation was nuclear war. And, you know, it was a genuine worry. At one point, many years later, I went down to Arizona to visit an ICBM, a decommissioned ICBM nuclear missile silo. And the ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, were very large rockets, right? They could fly halfway around the world. And it was deep underground and behind very, very thick steel doors. It was light green, you know, that pastel green that everyone seemed to like in the 1950s. It was like pastel green Star Trek console. That's what it looked like. And so we went down out in the yard. It was in the desert. Out in the yard, there was a very, I would say, magical object, for lack of a better word. And that was the nose cone for the ICBM. And it was quite big, about that high, pointed like the point of a bullet, about 3/4 of an inch thick plastic, you know, a kind of a resin. And it was designed to melt on re-entry. So that was just sitting there. So that was fairly thought-provoking, let's put it that way. And then we went into the missile silo. Interestingly enough, appended to the front of it, it had been decommissioned under Reagan, by the way. In the front of it, there was like a museum with artifacts from the 1980s featuring Reagan and Gorbachev meeting multiple times. And it was staffed by these Americans from the South who were grandparent age, and they were just super friendly. And, you know, they were happy to be in the museum. It was like going to visit your grandma's nuclear missile silo. And so it was jarring, you know, because it's obviously a portentous place, and yet it was conjoined with hospitality and welcoming. It was surreal in that manner. Anyways, we went into the silo, and they ran us through a simulated launch. So imagine a panel like this made out of metal, except twice as long, with another one of these things at the other end, 16 feet across or so. Basically 1950s technology, but updated. And then imagine that what you had to do to launch it was that there was a guy with a key and there was another guy with a key, and if I remember correctly, the keys were around their necks, although I don't think they were stored around their necks permanently. And so to launch the missile, you had to put the key in the lock, both of you. That was the safety precaution. It had to be two of you. You put the key in the lock and hold it for 10 seconds, and then away the missile goes. And it wasn't as big, the missile wasn't as big as the rockets that went to the moon, but it was plenty big. You know, the silo itself would have easily been as wide as this room is, and perhaps larger, and many, many stories tall, you know, because it was nested underground. So they ran us through a simulated launch, which was surreal, I would say. And then they told us that someone asked, and they said the keys were in once. Now, they wouldn't tell us when, but, you know, that would have been during the Cuban Missile Crisis, because we were that close. And we were close again at other times, although perhaps not that close. And there seemed to be another peak of conflict in 1984, when there was a movie showed at that time called The Day After, which at that time garnered more views than any movie ever had on TV. And it was a story about the aftermath of a nuclear war and the people who were left. And it was pretty realistic and pretty frightening. And it turned out, as I found out later, that that movie actually was one of the things that influenced Ronald Reagan to put pressure on or negotiate with the Soviets, depending on how you look at it. And so, well, and then, you know, 5 years later, the Soviet Union collapsed. No one saw that coming. And it really didn't collapse in 1989 in some sense, you know, like a huge machine like that doesn't fall apart all at once. It falls apart over time, and then at some point it just becomes unsustainable and topples. And you know, it's like they lost faith in their doctrine, and for good reason. You know that the system in Russia, the Soviet Union, which was a collection of states, an empire, and the system that Mao established in China, and the system that still exists in Korea as a remnant of the Cold War, and systems in Southeast Asia and in Africa, were all predicated on Marxist presuppositions, presuppositions that were utopian in nature and that posited a utopian future where property was held in common and everyone had enough and everyone was called upon to do what they could, right, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need, which is a lovely sentiment. And you can imagine how it would be attractive, even intellectually, because of course other systems, all other systems, produce vast disparities in income. It's like a natural law. It's actually governed by, you can model it with a distribution called the Pareto distribution, and the Pareto distribution looks like this. It doesn't look like a normal distribution. A lot of you guys have been told about normal distributions and how many things follow a normal distribution, most things, but that's really a limited case. You can understand a Pareto distribution if you've all played Monopoly, I presume. At the beginning, everyone has the same amount of money, will include property, the same amount of wealth. Then what happens as the game progresses, and really as a function of chance, I mean, I know you have to use your head a little bit in Monopoly, but the basic rule is just buy everything you can get your hands on and then trade meanly, something like that. So at the beginning, everybody has the same amount, and then as you begin to play, if you had enough players, you would develop a normal distribution, because some people would win relatively consistently and some people would lose relatively consistently, and so the money starts to be distributed in a normal distribution. But the thing about money, and the thing about lots of things, is that zero is involved, and zero is a weird place, because if you're playing a trading game and you hit zero, then you're done. And so, and it's very hard to recover from zero. And you know, it's really hard to recover. You know when you're doomed in Monopoly. You know, you can tell. You've got some resources, but there's going to be some crisis when you land on some hotel, and you're going to get wiped out. You know it. So there's a point at which you're headed for zero, even if you have something. You know, and you might be rescued by luck. But you know when you're doomed. So what happens is that as you continue to play Monopoly, more and more people stack up at zero, and fewer people have more and more money. And when the game is over, everyone has nothing except one person, and they have all of it. Now, the funny thing about that is that in some sense, that's how trading games work. You know, you might wonder why there is inequality in a society, and it's easy to consider that it's because the society is corrupt, and perhaps, you know, societies are somewhat or horribly corrupt. That's the variation. There's no society that's without its criminal element and fixed element. Anyways, trading games tend to produce a Pareto distribution so that very many people have very little and a tiny minority have a tremendous amount. That's the 1% that you hear about, right? And you know, the thing about that 1% is that that's happened in every society that's ever been studied. It doesn't really matter what the governmental system is, and it certainly happened under the Soviets, that's for sure. And there was a lot of people who had enough zero, so they just died. So, you know, the utopian dream was completely unimplementable for a variety of very complex reasons. One is that it's very hard to fight against that distribution pattern when people are trading, because mere statistics will do that. And then there's other things that, and I should tell you as well that the Pareto distribution governs a lot of things. So like if you look at books, if I remember properly, last year there was something like 1 million English language books published, and I think 500 of them sold more than 100,000 copies, which is none, right? That's none. And of that 500, you can be sure that one of them was by Stephen King, and he took half the money, because there's like 5 authors in the English language who are on every airport paperback stand occupying the top rung, and that's massive real estate, right? Because it's replicated everywhere. And because they're so prominent and because there are known names, when people are in a hurry and they just want something to read, they just grab that, and then more money goes to those people. And so, you know, success breeds success and failure breeds failure, and it's not necessarily linear. And that's a really difficult thing to deal with, and it's hard on societies, because one of the things we do know is that, you know, as you stretch out the inequality, you make men, particularly on the lower end of the distribution, more and more likely to be aggressive. It's sort of like, imagine every man has a threshold for violence, and status is important to men. Not that it's not important to women, but it's different. It's a different kind of status. Status is important to men because it's one of the things that makes them marketable as partners to women. So it actually turns out to be quite important to men. The men tend to compete with one another for status, hierarchy position. And in a really unequal society, if you're like a low rung guy, then, and you don't have any opportunity to rise because the society isn't structured so that there's mobility, then the more aggressive guys tend to turn to criminality. And you know, and so you could say there's a threshold for criminality, and the more inequality pressure you put on a particular area, geographic or political area, the more inequality pressure you put on it, the more men slip past that threshold and into criminality. And you know, there's been pretty good studies done of drug gang in Chicago. That was the best one. A sociologist actually went and hung out with the drug gang he got into it. I guess the drug gang leader was, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily narcissistic, but that might be a reasonable way of thinking about it. And he was kind of happy with the idea of maybe being the subject of a book. And so this guy was able to associate with them, got to know them quite well. And then the housing project in which the gang was housed was slated for demolition, and the gang broke up. And he got the books, because they kept books. And what he found was the average street drug dealer, first of all, was employed in another job as well, and was making far less than minimum wage. Now, but the guys, you know, further up the chain, of course, followed the Pareto distribution, and so there was a tiny minority of them who were raking in a tremendous amount of loot, and the guys at the bottom were just waiting around for the possibility that they could rise up the hierarchy. And you know, it's a pretty violent game, so the chances that someone's going to be taken out is pretty high, and then a little slot opens up for some opportunistic second rater, and perhaps he can move up the hierarchy. So the Pareto distribution governs all sorts of other things too. I mentioned it governs the popularity of books, the sales of books, but it also characterizes the distribution of everything that people produce. So if you think of creative production of any sort, artistic production, industrial production, it doesn't matter. Almost everything fails, and a few things succeed beyond anyone's wildest imagination. Apple's a good example of that. You know, I mean, the iPhone, they have their competitors, but it's an extraordinarily dominant product, and they rake in billions of dollars. I don't know if Apple is valued at $1 trillion, but it's close to that, and that's a lot of money. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's something like this. I probably have the figures wrong, but like the top 40 people, the richest 40 people in the world have as much money as the bottom 2 billion. Right now, you know, it's not like they're stuffing their mattresses with that money, or they have a skyscraper full of cash. That money is out in the economy doing whatever money does. So, you know, you can't spend $28 billion. So, and sometimes you can even do some good with it. You know, Bill Gates seems to be doing something reasonable with his money. But the reason I'm telling you this is because one of the things you should know is that this proclivity for inequality is pervasive among the creative products of human beings. It's the case with goals scored in hockey. My son told me, and he's a reliable source on hockey statistics, that if Wayne Gretzky, if you don't count any of the points that Wayne Gretzky managed with scoring, he still had enough points just with assists to have more points than any hockey player that ever played. So, you know, even at the upper end of the distribution, there's some person who's, they're so good at what they do, and then there's another person that's so much better than them that it's not even comparable. And so, and the benefits flow to people who are in that position. And you can understand why, I would say, because, you know, let's say you start writing and you get a book, and rare things, very rare things to have happen, and then some people read it and they like it, and then of course it's much more likely that you'll get a next book, and if people like that, well, it's even more likely that you'll get a third book, and then people start to know who you are, and then because they know who you are, they phone you up and offer you opportunities, and your network grows, and it's like this exponential increase in your reach and your capacity for production, and more flows to you. And then on the other hand, if you start to fail, and you know, why would someone fail? Well, God, you know, one idea that's very common in our culture is that poverty is caused by lack of money, and that's a really stupid idea, because money is very difficult to handle. I had clients who were, you know, drug addicts, and the worst possible thing that could happen to them was that they got some money. They're just done. First of all, you know, they were hanging around with people who were little on the sociopathic side, and so especially if they weren't that bright and couldn't defend themselves very well, as soon as they got money, well, it was off to the bar with all the friends. And you know, one guy I remember in particular, you know, every time he got his disability check, he was gone for 5 days. You usually found him in a ditch, you know, because he'd just go to the bar, spend every cent he had on alcohol and cocaine, and wake up in a ditch, 3/4 dead, eventually completely dead. And you know, then he was ashamed and horrified and repentant, and he'd straighten himself out again, and then that was all well and good until, as long as he was broke, until the next check showed up, and then bang, the same thing. So, you know, it's not like money is necessarily a good for everyone. It's hard to manage money. It's really easy for it to disappear. I mean, elderly people have a hell of a time now because, you know, crooks are contacting them on the internet nonstop. And so just giving people money's like, it's like pouring water in their hands. It's not that helpful, not necessarily that helpful. And then, of course, contributors to poverty are, well, it's not so good to have a low IQ. You know, people don't like the idea of IQ because it seems so arbitrary. You know, you have a high IQ. Well, It's not like you deserve it exactly. You're set up that way pretty much right from the beginning. It's very, 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 very stable. You can make a high IQ person stupider by, you know, not educating them up to the level of their possibility, but taking someone who has a low IQ and trying to raise that, it's like, if you can figure out how to do that, well, you know, it's Nobel Prize time for you, because people have tried that a lot, and most recently with those, you know, lumosity games and that sort of thing, and the evidence that those produce anything other than brilliant performances on the lumosity game itself is basically zero. We haven't been able to figure out how to see, because intelligence is a cross-domain phenomena, and you can get really good in a single domain by practicing like mad. And what you'd want is to practice like mad in a single domain and hope that it generalized to other domains. That's the holy grail of intelligence increase. It's like, no one's done it. People claim it, but the claims never hold up, and people have been trying for a long time to do it, and they haven't been able to do it. And differences in IQ really make a difference. You know, I mean, you guys average IQ is probably 125, 130. At 115, you're at the 85th percentile, and 115 would barely get you going for a hard university. 130, you're probably graduate school material. You know, 145, you're up there at the range where you can probably do pretty much whatever you want, although as you get smarter, the scatter between your abilities increases. So you might have a very high verbal IQ but not be so good at mathematics, or the other way around. But it's a massive contributor to lifetime success, and I don't know what to do about that. I mean, why do smart people make more money? Well, they get to where the edge of production is faster. So if you have 1,000 people and you rank order them by IQ, the smart people are going to come up with the new ideas first, and they're going to have more ideas, and they're going to strategize better. And you know, with an IQ of 90, which is 15% of the population, you think about that, it's 15% of the population. That's pretty much the threshold for reading instructions and being able to follow them. So, you know, and our society is increasingly sophisticated, so it's by no means obvious. You know, the liberals think, well, this society is unfair because there's unemployment, and the conservatives think, well, there's a job for everyone, but none of them think, well, there are massive, massive, massive differences in people's ability, far greater than anyone realizes, and that poses a structural problem. I had a client, and I got him a volunteer job, which is way harder than you think. You need a police check, for example. Like, it's harder to get a volunteer job than a real job. But we got him in a volunteer job, and he had to fold pieces of paper, letters. He worked at a charity. He had to fold pieces of paper in 3 so that he could put them inside envelopes. And then the letters, which were in a pile, had to be matched with the proper envelopes, which were also in a pile. But some of them were French and some of them were English, so the French ones had to be matched carefully to the French envelopes. And then if there was one envelope out of order, well, then he had to figure out whether it was the papers that were out of order or the letters that were out of order. And then some of the letters had photographs attached to them, and you weren't supposed to bend the photographs, but they weren't always in the same place, so that meant you had to figure out how to fold the paper in 3 a bunch of different ways without creasing the photograph. And then the other thing is, and I never realized how difficult it is to put a piece of paper in an envelope till I watched someone who couldn't do it, and he probably had an IQ of about 80. You know, if you met him on the street, you wouldn't think anything different of him. He was a normal looking guy, had some other problems. I trained him to fold those damn papers for like 30 hours, and he got reasonably good at it. But you know, if you're good at it, and you probably all are, you fold it and the edges line up exactly, like really exactly. The tolerance is probably 0.5 millimeter, something like that. Then you do the second fold, and the tolerance is the same. But let's imagine that the first fold you're out by 1/8 of an inch, and the second fold you're out by 1/8 of an inch, so it's a little crooked. And that means in total you're out by 1/4 of an inch, and then it won't fit in the damn envelope. So then you kind of crumple the envelope when you put it in there, and then it gets stuck in the sorting machine. And so he sweated blood trying to do that job, and they eventually planned to fire him. So imagine what that's like, eh? You know, you can't get a job, and then so you get a job at a charity as a volunteer, and a charity decides to fire you. You know, I mean, really, that's just... So I talked to the woman who was running it and suggested that that might be a little on the devastating side. I mean, she had her reasons. You know, he was always asking people questions about how to do his job, and you know, so that meant he was interfering with the productivity of other people, and it was genuine interference. I mean, she wasn't being mean, and it was her job to make sure the place did what it was supposed to. So you know, she was between a rock and a hard place. He eventually decided that the job wasn't for him, and relatively soon after that, I think it was too stressful, and he quit. So that solved that problem, except then he didn't have a job, which of course is a problem. It has a happy ending, this story, as far as I know. He got a dog because he was very lonesome, and that dog, man, having that guy train that dog, that was something else. That dog just, I think he lost 30 pounds while he was training that dog, because dogs, they're, you know, dominant, and he had to have a tussle with the dog to figure out who was in charge, and it's a lot of responsibility to have a dog, but he was pretty damn committed to that dog, and he managed it. And the things he went through to keep that dog, you just cannot possibly imagine. It was surreal, just like the nuclear missile silo. I mean, he had people following him around, informing on him because they thought he was abusing the dog, when in fact, because I watched, the dog was clearly abusing him. So he got a job helping a woman who trained dogs, and then he had a job. So hooray, you know, but it was like a miracle fundamentally. So anyways, the reason I'm telling you all this is because there was a reason for the Cold War. And the reason was that there's inequality, and there's different theories about how to address that inequality, and different theories about why it exists. And there was a Marxist theory about why it exists, which was roughly something like property equals theft, and those who have more have taken it from those who have less, which, you know, seems to me to eliminate any conceptualization that there isn't a fixed pot of money. You know, money expands actually as we become more technologically proficient, and lots of people who have money have it because they've generated a lot of wealth. I mean, Bill Gates is a great example of that, right? He popularized computing. He made it possible for everybody to have access to computing. It's like, it seems like a good for him, you know. And you could say the same thing about Steve Jobs, and maybe you'll be able to say the same thing about Elon Musk. And you know, these guys have tremendous resources at their disposal, but you know, they're not bathing in banknotes. You know, they're trying to continue to do things, and they use their money to do things. And anyways, the Russians set themselves up under Marxist presuppositions and tried to equalize the distribution of property. And to call that catastrophic barely scratches the surface. And I know that you guys probably don't learn much about this because for some reason people aren't taught about it, but you know, the good estimates are that the Russians killed about 30 million of their own people between 1919 and 1959. You know, and it's brutal. It's brutal. A lot of that was through starvation. You know, I saw a photograph the other day, which I tweeted, which is the worst photograph I've ever seen in my life, and that's actually saying a lot, because I've seen a lot of really terrible photographs because I've done so much investigation into totalitarianism. This was a photograph that was taken during one of the early starvation periods in the Soviet Union, where about 3 million peasants died. It was a picture of a peasant couple standing behind a table at a market selling human body parts for food. It's like, and you know, I have this weird quirk, which I don't think does me much good, but maybe helps me understand things better. When I see that someone has done something extreme, I learned to do this a long time ago when I worked briefly in a maximum security prison. I try to imagine what I would have to be like, what kind of situation I would have to find myself in to do that. And believe me, man, that's a horrifying enterprise, because it is actually possible, no matter what it is that you read about someone doing, and no matter how unlikely it is that you think you would do that, it's possible to imagine yourself in that situation. And that, well, that's enlightening. That's what I would say. That's enlightening, you know, because one of the things about enlightenment is that you get enlightened by doing things that are necessary that you really, really, really do not want to know, don't want to do. And imagining yourself as a perpetrator of that sort is, that tells you something about the world, and it tells you something about human beings, but it's a hell of a thing to swallow, you know, and in a very well-structured society like ours, where we're so peaceful, well, because we have the heat and it always works, and we have electricity and it always works, and we have plumbing, which is a bloody miracle, and it always works. You know, it's just one of the things that this imagination process has done for me is keep me alert to the absolute miracle that my life is every day. It's horribly cold out there. You can't grow any food. You die if you're out there for 24 hours. If any of this infrastructure was unreliable for any length of time, we would be in serious trouble. And it's never unreliable. It's so unlikely. And so here we are with all this reliable infrastructure. And because of that, we don't really have to compete with each other much. I mean, some. You don't compete for food. You don't compete for shelter, or some people do, but not very many. So it's really easy to think of yourself as good, because, well, you're not doing anything nasty to anyone. But, you know, a cynic might say, well, that's just because you don't have any reason to. But those reasons have arisen many times in the past, and in fact, they're the norm, not the exception. We're the exception. This insanely functional society that we've somehow managed to generate it's incomprehensible to me that it exists. So anyways, back in the end of the Industrial Revolution, you know, the conditions of the worker were pretty brutal. I mean, George Orwell wrote a book called Road to Wigan Pier, which I would highly recommend. It's a great book. And he went up in the 30s, I think it was the 30s, to live with the coal miners up in northern UK. And those poor guys, you know, they had to crawl to work for 2 miles down a tunnel that they couldn't stand up in just to start their shift. And then after their 8 hours of, you know, hacking away at the coal walls, which is rather difficult and dirty and dangerous, and of course you get black lung from it, so it's also fatal, and of course they didn't get paid very much. So after doing that for 8 hours, then you crawled back your 2 miles, and you didn't get paid for that. That was just the commute. And the housing for those people was not good. The food wasn't good. Most of them had no teeth by the time they were 30. You know, I mean, being poor was no joke, even in a place like the UK, which was relatively well off. And so there was every reason to be concerned about the disparity between rich and poor. And poor is the natural state, you know, that in the Western world in 1895, the typical person lived on $1 a day in today's dollars. And, you know, that's not uncommon in many places in the world now. So there were reasons to be concerned with inequality. And, you know, the Russians took one pathway inspired by Marx, and we took another pathway inspired by John Stuart Mill and John Locke and the English tradition, I would say, of democracy, and competed for 70 years. And things seem to have worked out better here. But it was a hell of a competition. And there were real differences in opinion at the bottom of it. And those two systems turned into armed camps. And that's not over exactly, you know, I mean, there's the Chinese, although they're a hybrid now between communism and capitalism, and hopefully they're more interested in getting rich than they are in, you know, having a war. Greed is a good motivator. Surprisingly enough, it's kind of reliable. But anyways, by 1989, the jig was up. It was obvious that the Soviet system was not functional. There were no consumer goods, that's for sure, even in the main department stores in Moscow, and people just kind of lost faith in the whole project. You know, it became, for a while, I don't know if you know about the show Dallas. Dallas was a soap opera that ran at night, a serial, and it was about these rich Texans who lived, you know, a 1% lifestyle. And it was the most popular show in East Germany. The streets would empty so that people could watch Dallas. Well, when you're sitting in your horrible Soviet architecture flat that, you know, you had to struggle to get with your informing relatives, because 1 out of 3 people in East Germany was an informer, a government informer, and you watch Dallas, you know, there's a little cognitive dissonance occurring. And so it fell apart, and quite peacefully, actually. You know, there was a bit of war in Eastern Europe, but it fell apart remarkably peacefully. And so here we are, and we don't know what to do with the pesky Russians, but at least there's no evidence that there are mortal enemies for fundamental reasons of axiomatic presupposition. And things are a lot better in the world, despite what everyone tells you, than they were 40 years ago. And they're so much better than they were 50 years ago that it's absolutely staggering. We've lifted more people out of poverty in the last 15 years that have been lifted out of poverty in the entire history of the world before then. People are gathering economic resources at a rate that even the wildest optimist really couldn't dream of speeding up. So it's not like we're without our problems, but so during that period of time, I was obsessed, is a good word, with a question, and the question was, why would human beings produce 2 camps and then produce a massive arsenal of hydrogen bombs? And I don't know what you know about hydrogen bombs, but they have atom bombs for triggers. And, you know, that's worth thinking about, because an atom bomb, you know, hey, that's something. But a hydrogen bomb, that's the sun. That's really something. So, and you know, they're at the peak of the Cold War, and this is still true to some degree, there were literally tens of thousands of these weapons aimed at the Soviet Union and at the West. And that was enough to pretty much put an end to everything. And that's a dangerous game, man. You know, and not only because of intent, but also because of the possibility of accidental, just an accident, you know, just a mistake, or just someone who's a little crazier than you might want them to be, you know. And you might think, well, no one would want to bring about the destruction of the world, but that just means you don't know very much about Stalin, because of all the people who lived in the 20th century who had power, Stalin was the most motivated to bring everything to an end. There's some evidence that he was murdered by Khrushchev and his crew, and Khrushchev was the next leader. And if he wasn't murdered, he was at least not provided with medical attention when he was dying. And there is reasonable evidence that he was gearing up to invade Western Europe, and he didn't really care how much destruction would go along with that. I mean, he'd already killed tens of millions of people. He had a lot of practice. He was good at it. It didn't really bother him. Maybe even enjoyed it. So, what the hell? That's what I thought. How can it be that we are doing this? It's so insane. And so then I started to think about belief systems, you know, because you could say that each camp had its own belief system. The one in the West was derived, it had a very lengthy history, derived from the Greeks and the Romans and the Jews and the Christians, and from various schools of philosophy and from the Enlightenment and all of that. And then the Soviet Union was basically predicated on a rational philosophy that opposed the axioms that the West had evolved, and each group organized their societies around that. And you know, I took political science for quite a long time, and the political scientists and the economists, they basically thought that people competed over resources. But that wasn't a very good answer as far as I was concerned, because it wasn't obvious to me why people valued the resources they valued. The economists just assume that there's resources that you value, but you know, people can value a lot of different things. It's not exactly fixed. I mean, you tend to value food very highly if you're hungry, obviously, but you know, there's lots of things that we value and that we want that seem somewhat arbitrary, somewhat like a decision. So I got more interested in why people valued things and what it meant to value something, and then what it meant to believe something, and then how it could be that someone could believe something so deeply that they would risk their own death to protect it, or at least risk the death of other people, and maybe on a massive scale. Like, man, people are committed to their system. Now, you know, a system of belief is not just a system of belief. That's one of the things that I came to understand, is that it's not appropriate to make this too psychological. People defend their belief systems, but that's not exactly right. You know, we have a shared belief system. Well, it's sufficiently shared so that here we are, we don't know each other, we're a bunch of primates, we're in this room and it's peaceful and no one's scared, and that's pretty amazing. And that means that we're all acting out our roles. So we're acting out our roles, and we have an expectation with regards to those roles, and those two things match. And that's the important thing, and we'll talk about that a lot. It isn't the belief system or the integrity of the belief system even. It's the match between the belief system and the actions of the other people within the belief system. What you want to maintain is that match. You want to act out your beliefs in the world, and you want what you want to happen. That's a good thing. You get what you want, and you validate your belief system. Great, perfect, security. But a lot of that is, if we're interacting, even right now, there's a whole set of expectations that are governing what we're doing. Like, you don't want me to take your little tablet there and smash it. That would be shocking, right? You wouldn't know what the hell to do, right? You'd be somewhere different if I did that, and you wouldn't know where you were. And that's another thing to know, because that's a fundamental difference. There's a fundamental difference between knowing where you are and not knowing where you are. I think it's, in some sense, the fundamental difference. You can think about it as the distinction between explored and unexplored territory, but you have to. I don't know if you've ever taken a cat to a new house. Cats hate that. And because in their old house, and maybe in their old neighborhood, they've slunk around, you know, at the edges, checking everything out. They start out afraid. They check everything out. They know where to hide. They know where to. They know what's safe, and they know that because they go somewhere and nothing happens, and so then they assume that it's safe, and they slowly build up a neighborhood that they're comfortable with. my dad used to take the dog for a walk, and then the cat got lonesome, and so it started to follow him. And first of all, it would just go along the buildings, the houses on their route, you know, hiding really from predators. And after a while, I got kind of comfortable with that, and then it would follow right behind the dog. But it had a border, and if my dad took the dog over one street too many for the cat would just sit on the corner and you know, cry like a cat cries. It was like, that's it for me, man. I'm not going any farther out into the unknown. And so the distinction between the territory that you have mastered and the territory that you haven't mastered is a fundamental distinction. It's the distinction between home and the strange land. And the thing about familiar territory for people is that most of the familiar territory that we inhabit is other people, because we're so social. So you can't really think, it's a weird way of thinking about territory. It's not exactly geographical objective territory. It's territory with a dominance hierarchy in it. And the dominance hierarchy has a predictable structure, and you know where you fit in it most of the time. And so that when you act out in that territory surrounded by your people, then often you get what you want. And you're so thrilled about that because you just don't want someone acting erratically around you. Like, and you know that. So you walk down Bloor, and there's people there that should really be institutionalized, but we deinstitutionalized them all so they could be free, and free to be, you know, suffering and malfunctioning out on the street. That's what the freedom ended up being. But you know, you'll walk by someone like that who's muttering away to the voices in his head, and you know, maybe striking out against whatever it is that's plaguing him, and you will make eye contact. You might even go across the street. You're certainly going to give him a wide berth. You're going to keep a distance between him and you, and you're going to hope that you don't attract his attention, because he's not in the dominance hierarchy, and you don't know what the hell he might do. And that's unexplored territory too. That's another way of thinking about it. Like, we inhabit time and space, not just space and not just time. We inhabit time and space. And our territories are spatial temporal. We're here now. And this is safe now. And it's safe partly because of the physical structure and it's working, but it's also safe because none of you are manifesting peculiar behavior. But if you started to manifest peculiar behavior, if you stood up and started muttering or yelling, or maybe attacking someone next to you, all the rest of you would freeze first, because then all of a sudden this would be unexplored territory. The match between what you want, which is a peaceful lecture that you hope has some content, the match between what you want and what's happening has vanished. And so then you don't know where you are. And so then what do you do when you don't know where you are? What do you do when you don't know what to do? Well, if you're a computer, you just crash. But, you know, what good is that to you? You're just going to die? That isn't helpful. You freeze first, and then maybe you cautiously attend, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just keep your damn eyes averted, and you sit there and you hope that no one notices you. That's a prey response, right? That's like a rabbit frozen when it thinks a fox is looking at it. And we were prey animals for a long time. There was a cat that they recently discovered, a prehistoric cat that had this bottom single tooth, and they found out that a human skull fit right inside its mouth, and so it could grab you here and pierce the back of your skull with its single tooth, and that's what it was evolved for. So, you know, it's under such conditions we evolved, and we're predators, obviously, but we're tasty predators, and so other things were perfectly happy to eat us. And so when you're where you don't know what to do, you act like a prey animal. And that's probably what you should do, because maybe if you keep your head down and shut the hell up, there won't be any attention attracted to you, and maybe you'll get through it. You know, you might decide to intervene and take the guy down, but you would be the exception rather than the norm. And It's unsurprising. Okay, so what I came to understand was that belief systems regulated emotions, but not exactly psychologically. Like it isn't exactly, and this is sort of like the terror management theories, it's not exactly like you have a theory in your head and the theory explains the world, and because the theory explains the world, the theory is what's making you secure. It's kind of like that. It's like you have a theory in your head and the theory makes you feel secure because it explains the world, but the reason it explains the world is because other people have the same theory in their head, and then when you both act out the theory, you both get what you want. And it's the coming together of the theory and the outcome that makes you, it's life. Not only does it stop you from being anxious and often make you happy because you get what you want, but it's not just psychological, you know, the fact that we do this, that we cooperate within our societies, we match our belief systems and then act them out, that's the predicate for a productive society. So it's actually, it isn't just that it saves you from death anxiety like the terror management theorists have it, it saves you from death. And that's good. I mean, being protected from death anxiety, yeah, good, that's great too, man. But actually not dying, that's sort of the fundamental thing that you're after. And so people have reason to defend their territory. If you think of territory that way, as you think about it as a domain where the fundamental presuppositions of each citizen are matched by the behavior of their co-citizens, they have every reason to defend that. And if it falls apart, it can have mortally serious consequences. It's chaos, you know, and that chaos doesn't just destabilize everybody psychologically, it destabilizes everything. It can destabilize the currency, it can destabilize the industrial economy, the lights can go off. It's like, it's not good. So hey, no wonder people protect it. So then I started thinking about what a belief system was. And